Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Hope everybody's doing good. Aussie Jen, what's up? Thank you. I appreciate that comment. And I truly enjoy you being a part of this channel. I really appreciate you. What's up, Kid Kitty? Thank you for being glad to have you here. Glad to have you here. Cherry Dre. Good evening. Cassie. How you do? Yeah, thank you for being here, Cassie. SRB. I cracked open a Red Balters. Oh, poor thing. Thank you for being here. Turn this music down. I'm not sure. Not sure what I'm going to do with tonight. It's just going to be a whatever. I was going to try and do the part 4 again of the chemical disaster, Ohio train derailment stuff. I got so much stuff on that, even beyond what I had put together on Sunday. So if we get into it tonight, we'll get into it. I kind of wanted to go over some other stuff because really Friday night was really the last time that we checked over stuff. So that left Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and all day today. And I'm like, well, we couldn't get the part 4 done on Sunday. So I was going to do it tonight, but then I'm like, that's already 4 days past everything else. So then I don't want to push it off another day. So I don't know. I'm kind of confused right now, but we'll figure it out. Yeah, I heard about that, Kevin Kraft. I heard about that yesterday. I listened to a radio station from Akron. It's WNIR. And I always listen to WNIR even when I've been over here. It's been one of my favorite stations for a long time, talk radio. And I listen to them on the app, WNIR Talk of Akron 100.1. So if anybody would like to download the app, it's a fun channel. I really enjoy the conversations on there. So anytime that I'm like doing dishes or shaving or laundry or whatever I'm doing, and I just kind of want to listen to something, hell, even sometimes when I'm driving home from work, I'll pop on that app and listen to the app. Yeah, I know. That's what I was wondering, Kevin, because I was like, oh shit, it's a metal plant. And then I first thought, shit, but then I didn't hear nothing from you, but I don't even know where it was at. Yeah, in Cleveland somewhere. I'm not sure of the name. I just heard about it. Didn't like 16 people pass away in that? That's funny. Oh, the thing will be on here in a second. Good evening. Good evening. Oh yeah, I did want to. Kevin did his first live. Give me 1 second here. It was really neat, dude, seeing oh shoot. One second. I was trying to go to your page, but oh, come on, YouTube. The heck? There it is. Here, let me share this real quick. I know I didn't notice he went live either. I was cuz he messaged me and I was like, "Oh, you went live?" I didn't even know he went live. I didn't get a notification. But this was his first live attempt. Pretty cool, man. It's pretty interesting seeing how all that stuff was made, and I'm telling you right now, like I literally watched the whole thing from beginning to end and I was just chilling. I was just like, man, this is peaceful. Something about woodworking, it just the machines and the saw and the wood and the whatever you call it, where you pry it or grind it, whatever that you grind it off or whatever you chisel it off, something. Anyway, I was like, damn, that's pretty neat. So if anybody would like to go check it out real quick. It's pretty interesting seeing how that stuff was. Yeah, if you want to check that out, hit a like on it for him. That was his first live attempt. Pretty cool with the camera placement, man. Didn't move around a whole lot. It was pretty cool. Yeah, talk to us when you're doing that stuff if you're able to, man. Give us step by steps. It's really cool though. And then like, what is that? Like a paint marker or something? What kind of, like how you would color the tops? Like what is that? Like a paint marker or something? Let me see here. Ooh, let me throw the link to his page too in case anybody's in replay. Or let me see here. One second. I thought I had this open already. I apologize. And with the logo stuff, we're having some. It's taken a little longer than we thought, so we're still working out some kinks. I think we need to come up with like a stencil type thing, just to keep everything uniform. So we did have this really cool. I do want to show this real quick. Yeah, I want to show this real quick. This is something that Cherry did. So this is one of the. Oh, it looks like the J got cut off a little bit, Cherry. I didn't even notice until just now. Those squares in the background means that it's a transparent image. So I don't want you guys to think that the squares is what's going to pop up on the picture. Basically, it's a transparent image. So it's all it's going to have is the evil CJ show. But this is kind of a little idea. So one of these days this week, whenever it does happen, when I get these new logos up there, I will make a community post on YouTube so everybody knows. That way, even if I'm not live that day or something, when you get the community post, then you'll know for sure that it'll be up. But this is one of the ideas that she thought of, and I thought it was a really cool idea. Cherry, thank you so much for that. So it's gonna have some stuff like this. So like I said, if there's like certain colors you guys would like with a certain logo, what I'm thinking about doing is I'm thinking about making a community post. Community posts that will have the list of all the items, but you should be able to see them on the store. And then I'm going to have a community post with all the different logos. So then you can just go to the community post, tell me what logo you want. I'll have them all numbered on the picture. So you can say logo 3, pink, uh, tank top. All right. And then that can be your custom order. Now, Cherry and Kib Kitty, I think they were discussing where we can even also make your YouTube name and put that on the item as well. So if you would like the Evil CJ show and then have your own YouTube name, or whatever personalized name you would like, we could also do that. So if that's something you'd also be interested in, just shoot me a message, whether it's Discord, Twitter, email, Facebook, whatever. Just shoot me a message if you want a certain item with a certain logo, certain color, whatever. And also if you would like to have a personalized name on it. Now, I do not know for sure. Cherry, maybe you might know. Do you know how many letters? I guess it doesn't matter, does it? Because it'll be another logo like the Evil CJ show logo, right? Cherry. So whatever I think we can actually have as many. Obviously, the more text, the smaller it's going to be. Made Kib Kitty today. All right, let me go check that out real quick. Give me 1 second. I haven't checked that email. Let me check that one. 1 second. But I thought that was a really great idea, Cherry, the Evil CJ. Ooh, look at that. Okay, so this is what Cherry made for Kib Kitty. So that will be on whatever item she was wanting. I'm not sure. Cherry and Kib Kitty were discussing that, but that would be cool. Yep, there's the Kib Kitty right now. So, like I said, I apologize. It's taking a little longer than expected, but I don't want to half-ass shit. I want to make sure that once we have it, we have it. There's, dotting T's and dotting I's and crossing T's just to make sure. So, yeah, just let me know. Send me a message if there's any certain thing. And then once I get all the different styles of logos, you can basically tell us what color you want. We can make any color. The logo can be any color. We can make your name any color, whatever colors you guys want. 2 different colors, whatever you guys want. All you have to do is just specify, and then we'll go ahead and put that on there. So you could have like your name on the sleeve, you could have your name on the cup, you could have your name on the hat, the side of the hat with your name logo on the front. There's just different combinations. And I appreciate you guys. Okay, I wanted to show that. Let me get Kevin's link here real quick for his page. All right, there we go. I absolutely want the pink Evil CJ and the blue Kib Kitty. Yeah, me and Cherry are doing the logo stuff together, so. I think it's really cool. But yeah, I'll put up a community post when the logos are up. I'll put a community post with all the different logos, and then you guys can, like I said, whenever you place an order, logo number 4, t-shirt, purple logo, yellow YouTube name, and this is what I would like the name to be on the item or whatever. and then that's what we could do. No, do not order. I wouldn't order yet. We still, like I said, we're still, once I put the community post up, letting everybody know that the logos are up. So when I put the community post, that's letting you guys know the logos are on the store. And then when I put that community post up there, I'm going to put the community post with the pictures of all the different logos, the different fonts, basically, the different styles. And then you can tell me what number of logo corresponding to the box, color, and all the customized specifications that you would like. And then we'll go ahead and make sure that we put that up there. And then what I'll even do is after I put it on the store, I can individually send you a link to that item itself. What's up, Grizz? How you doing tonight? Thanks for hopping in. Schools are good. Yeah, I heard there's a, speaking of, there's a Ryan Hall, y'all. It's been a while since we watched one of his shows, and he's got some very interesting things to say about the people that are living in Minnesota, Iowa, Michigan, New York, Dakotas. Yeah, it's going to be some craziness going on here. So it's been a while since we've seen Ryan Hall, y'all. And I'm going to go ahead and start off with his warning about the upcoming weather, where some places in Minnesota are even going to see a foot to 2 feet of snow. Let me see here. Let me get his channel real quick. Ryan Hall, y'all. Yeah, when the community post is up on YouTube, then you'll know. And you can even go to my YouTube channel and you can check my community tab, and if you don't see a post, then you know for sure it's not up. But I will be putting out a post. It's just taking a little longer than we anticipated, but we want to make sure that it's top notch. That's all. All right. This historic blizzard will bring feet of snow, crippling ice, and more. I'm over it too. I'm ready for some fucking warm weather. I'm ready for some sunshine, some flip-flops, some water. Summertime blues.
A lot to talk about today. First of all, we've got a daggone historic blizzard getting ready to happen. That's going to be followed up by an ice storm, not to mention the severe weather that will be going on at the same time. And then we have a potential big severe weather outbreak next week. Things are getting busy, so let's dive right into it. Okay, blizzard warnings have been issued for all of the areas in orange here. Okay, parts of South Dakota and Minnesota are under blizzard warnings. Also back here in Wyoming and portions of Montana, as winds will be gusting between 40 to 50 miles per hour during this storm system. And the pink is going to be winter storm warnings. I mean, the entire western half of the U.S. is about to get slam dunk slobbergosted, son. I made that word up, but that's what's going to happen from this winter storm. Even down here into California, some places near San Francisco are going to see snow. Even in San Francisco, you're going to see snow on some of the peaks around you, which is not something that you can always see. And of course, a lot of the plateau between the Rockies and the Cascades and the Sierra are going to get a lot of snow as well, and it's going to turn into a full-on blizzard once it gets up here into the northern plains, especially here around Minneapolis, St. Paul. Okay, Minnesota is going to get rocked by this storm. In fact, we've got the winter storm severity index indicating that we're going to have extreme impacts in places like, once again, Minneapolis, St. Paul, all the way down through Wilmar and close to Watertown, South Dakota. And what this means is that we're going to have a substantial disruptions to daily life. We're going to see extremely dangerous or impossible driving conditions. Travel is not advised. Extensive and widespread closures and disruptions to infrastructure may occur, and life-saving actions may be needed. I want to go ahead and get this out of the way. This is going to be more than just your typical snowstorm up here in Minnesota. Do not try to drive around in it. I don't care if you got a big yee truck. I don't care if you got to go somewhere. This is the kind of storm that we want to stay back. Take the day off, okay? Watch the blizzard happen, because this is likely going to be a top 10 event for Minneapolis. So it's going to cause a lot of problems out there. I'm really not looking forward to seeing some of the reports of potential power outages with the wind and of course, just massive problems on the roads. Okay, so we're going to start to see that snow out here around 1 p.m. today in Minnesota. Of course, it's already going to have been happening in South Dakota and North Dakota. Heavy snow back here in Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, and Montana. Watch what happens, though, as I push this forward. This first band of snow over here in the northern plains and upper Midwest is going to amplify. Okay, it's only going to get stronger as time goes on, because we really have a big storm system forming here that's pulling moisture out of the Gulf, bringing cold air down, and it's just really happening in this whole area right in through here. So there's a lot of warm sector for this snow to feed off of. But this ain't even the main event. Okay, so let's keep going. Watch how it doesn't stop snowing in Minneapolis. Okay, where it's 1 a.m. here Wednesday, still snowing. And guess what? That was an appetizer. The real storm is back here. This right here is where things are really happening. We've got extremely heavy snow down here in Arizona, even in portions of California, as this big low pressure system is going to be getting its act together. Winds are going to be gusting 40, 50, 60 miles per hour, especially in the higher elevations here in Arizona, while this storm starts really amping up. Now watch the injection of Gulf of Mexico moisture here into places like Sioux Falls, northern Iowa, and of course southern Minnesota. You can see that the snow starts to get really intense here. This is when the blizzard really starts. Okay, you see the areas of snow that are indicated as gray here. I know it doesn't make sense because the base map is gray. That is extremely heavy snow falling between Sioux Falls and Bloomington and Oshkosh, Wisconsin by 3 p.m. tomorrow. Okay, this is going to be blinding snow. It's going to cover the roads way faster than any Department of Transportation can get it off. And of course, temperatures are going to be low as well. Wind chills are going to be incredibly low, as this is when some of those stronger winds are going to start coming through. But watch what happens here. It doesn't stop. It just goes and it goes and it goes. And of course, by the time we get to 9 p.m., we're seeing that extremely heavy snow in central Wisconsin. We're starting to see it in northern Michigan. We're starting to see it in southern Ontario, moving into Quebec. And on the front side, way over here in New England, we're seeing heavy snow as well. And in upstate New York, Vermont, and New Hampshire, that's going to expand and continue to get worse as time goes on. But watch, you think you're done over there in Minneapolis? You think you're done in South Dakota? No, son. Round 3 comes through at 6 a.m. on Thursday, and this one's going to drop another 6 inches or whatever it wants to on top of what you already got, and even more blizzard conditions, as this one actually is probably going to have some of the stronger wind gusts. So here we are at 8 a.m. on Thursday. It's still snowing out here in Minnesota, Wisconsin, the UP of Michigan, and of course it's still snowing out here in Maine as well. And then if we go all the way out here, it's still snowing for places near, Minneapolis by 1 p.m. And this is far out as our future radar will go. Okay, it's time to look at some snow totals now, and this is only for the next 3 days. So the farther east we go, like whenever we look at upstate New York, Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, you guys will probably see more than what's even listed here. But I think that we're getting close to nailing it down for the plains and some of these areas out west. First of all, yeah, you're seeing that right. 43 inches somewhere on top of a mountain here in Southern California. Even down here south of Los Angeles, we're talking about 2-3 feet of snow, guys. So this is going to be a big time storm for California, which is for the most part good news. We're reserving some water up there. 30-40 inches up here in Oregon as well, in some of those mountaintops. And actually the Cascades in Washington are getting the short end of the stick this time, with only a foot of snow by the time this is all said and done. Of course, some of the mountaintops here near Salt Lake City will get 40, 50 inches of snow or so. Even down closer to sea level, though, we're talking about 8, 9, 10 inches. How about over here near Casper, Wyoming, 20 inches? Now, let's start moving east, and this is where our Great Plains blizzard of 2023 starts taking shape. Pretty much everybody in South Dakota, especially if you draw a line through the central portion of the state, is going to get more than a foot of snow. We're talking about 14, 15 inches here near Chamberlain, 13 inches near Watertown, and then as soon as you get into Minnesota, things start to ramp up significantly. Over here in western Minnesota, it's looking like we're going to see 19, 20 inches of snow. And then let's really zoom in here to this part of Minnesota and go down here to Rochester, 19 inches, Northfield, 24 inches, St. Paul, 24 inches, And then, of course, all around the Minneapolis area, we're talking about anywhere from 23 to 24 inches. It does look like some places over here in Wisconsin near Eau Claire might see 25, 26 inches of snow by the time this is all said and done. And I want to remind you guys, what we're looking at here is an official National Weather Service forecast. So this is conservative. I wouldn't be surprised if some of these places blew those numbers out of the water. 30 inches of snow is not out of the question now if you're near Minneapolis. Of course, some areas up here in the UP of Michigan are going to get in on over a foot of snow as well, but there's a little bit of enhancement happening here because of the lakes near Marquette, and that's going to bring you close to 30 inches. Green Bay looks like about 13 inches of snow. Chicago, though, nothing. Very sharp cutoff as you go down the line here, as it looks like there's going to be some rain and some freezing rain down here near Madison. Muskegon, Michigan, 2 inches. Traverse City, 9 inches. Buffalo, New York, maybe 3 or 4 inches. Rochester, New York, 5 or 6 inches. Albany, New York, doesn't look like they're going to get much at all, but up here near Watertown, 16 inches. And of course, up here in the higher elevations of Vermont, New Hampshire, we're talking about, a foot to 2 feet. And then all through Maine, we're talking about 8 to 12 inches, and this will add on. Remember, this is only through the next 3 days. There's more snow than this coming from Maine. I think there will be a widespread 12 to 18 inch zone in Maine by the time this is all said and done. Some snow might make it all the way down here into Massachusetts as well, with 3 or 4 inches expected as far south as south of Pittsfield, but it doesn't look like we're getting any snow in New York City this time. Okay, so that's the winter storm side. This is going to be a historic winter storm for portions of South Dakota, Minnesota, and Wisconsin, but guess what? It's also going to have a crippling ice storm attached to it. Let's zoom in here and take a look at those pinks as they pop up on the radar. In Iowa, on Wednesday around 11 a.m., we are going to have some freezing rain starting to break out here around Des Moines. This is going to coat things in a thin layer of ice very quickly. You see it's going to be raining heavily and freezing on impact around Madison, Wisconsin around 3 p.m. on Wednesday. That's going to happen in Michigan for too long. Okay, watch how long this happens in Michigan. Look at the line between Madison and Detroit, and we get an extended multi-hour period of freezing rain. That's going to drop potentially a quarter inch to a half inch of ice in some of these places, and that will cause power outages, and of course it's going to cause very slick travel. So this area, instead of snow, we're really worried about an ice storm occurring here. We don't have any ice storm warnings yet. That's probably going to change, but all the pinks that you see there, the lighter stuff is like sleet, and this is freezing rain. This will actually probably end up causing more problems than the snow. And as you can see here, the National Weather Service forecast currently calls for 1/10 of an inch all the way up to, once again, 1/2 an inch of ice for a lot of these places highlighted in the pink. The hardest hit area, I think, is going to be southern Wisconsin and southern Michigan here, where we will see 1/2 an inch of ice. Some people will see more than that, though. And here's why that's important. This is the Ice Storm Severity Index. And look, this is the ice accumulation here. You can have only 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch of ice accumulating on trees and power lines. And if you throw a 25 to 35 mile an hour wind gust on top of that, you've got a category 3 ice damage index. That means you're going to have widespread utility outages with damage to main feeder lines and equipment expected. Tree limb damage is going to be excessive, and outages may last from 3 to 5 days. And then, guys, you get a 1/2 inch of ice with greater than 35 mile per hour wind gusts, and you're talking about prolonged and widespread utility interruptions. Outages may last 5 to 10 days. You see what I'm saying? This, a lot of people don't understand, like, an ice storm doesn't mean that it's just going to be slick on the sidewalk. That ice is accumulating on trees and power lines. And when that happens, they fall down. And, they fall down much easier when you've got wind forcing that energy on them. If I live somewhere that's expected to get ice during this storm, I would definitely be preparing for a power outage. Gas up the generator, get ready, do what you need to do to be prepared. And of course, we're not done yet. We do have severe weather to talk about. In fact, up here in the Northeast today, we might have some severe weather. Also, a marginal risk down here in the Southern Plains. And then guess what? That's not it. Tomorrow, we've got 4.6 million people under a slight risk of severe weather from Oklahoma City all the way up through Jefferson City. Talk about that. And then, that's not it. We have a day 6 outlook for next week here. in the plains as well. And it looks like this is going to be a big severe weather outbreak. So let's talk about all three of those really quickly. First up, we've got our risk up here in the northeast. Watch these thunder boomers as they move into warmer, more unstable air. They are going to turn into a pretty, stout line of storms. It goes all the way up from upstate New York down into the Delmarva area. This is going to be a low-top squall line with curved hodographs, meaning that the tornadoes could happen here. It's very unlikely, but the probability is not zero. Yeah, it's just going to be a really nasty line of storms that moves through places like Syracuse, all the way down through Scranton, Philadelphia, and New York City. This is around 3 p.m. today. It's going to go through Springfield and Hartford, probably around 5 or 6 p.m., through Boston by 9 p.m., and then it'll be completely dissipated. The strongest area, of storms is probably going to be down here in and around New York City. So get ready for that. Maybe some small hail, some strong winds, and once again, an isolated small tornado or two cannot be rolled out here. And then our focus shifts over here to the west. As our snowstorm is raging off to the north, we're going to see this big warm front thing happen here. Watch the storms pop up in the Ohio Valley. Nothing severe there, just some strong winds and some heavy rain maybe. We get an actual line of severe weather that's going to try to move through Oklahoma City up into Missouri, and then eventually up into Iowa as well, and then eventually up into Illinois as well. This could pack a punch with some strong damaging winds here, guys. I'm not looking for a huge tornado outbreak or even much in the way of hail, except for maybe whenever it gets really far north like this. But damaging winds are going to be a problem as that moisture kind of injects itself up into the blizzard up there. So that's your timing. They'll pop up around Oklahoma City and Tulsa around 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. They'll get pretty strong between Springfield and St. Louis between noon and 3 or 4 p.m. tomorrow, and then kind of dissipate into just heavy rain by the time we get into
when I get home,
4 or 5 p.m. During the height of the blizzard. And guess what? After this line makes it past the Ohio River, nothing's going to happen with it. It fizzles out pretty fast, and it's not really going to be a problem as it goes off to the east. Last but not least, we've got one more thing to talk about before we end this video. This weekend, we're going to have another big storm system move into California, bringing some very strong winds, some incredibly, just insane weather that we'll talk about in a future video. And then guess what? It is going to flip negative, and we're going to have a huge warm sector here. It's going to feel like summer in a lot of the southeastern U.S. It's going to be the craziest February 27th you've ever experienced in some of these places. With the high temperatures, but the cold air is going to be sinking down into this trough, and this could actually spark a traditional tornado alley April/May style tornado outbreak if it actually happens the way it's modeled here. I don't know if that's going to happen, but this little nasty divot in the jet stream here is going to be something that we have to watch closely as we go forward, and that's going to be kind of the focus of our videos after this blizzard is over. So I just wanted to let you know about that. That is happening, and we will have to continue to watch it. Thank you for watching my video. Huge apology to my editor for this extremely long video. There's just so much to talk about. Make sure you slap this like button, and make sure you subscribe to the channel and subscribe to my main channel, because we're going to be going live for this blizzard. Okay, the Great Blizzard 2023. We're going to be live for it tomorrow on the main channel, Ryan Hall, y'all. Subscribe to that, turn notifications on, do not miss it. Get your Yalla meters out, polish them off, son. Okay, get them ready. And make sure you go to shopryanhall.com and get you one if you haven't already. Okay, bye. Ooh.
He said, sorry.
This is video number 7 in my multi-part series where
I hit frickin' pause, YouTube. Damn. It does that shit all the time. It's funny, he's apologizing to his editor because the video was long, and I'm sitting there going, I apologize. You should be happy. It's employment. I'd be happy. It's called job security. Okay, well, I didn't mean for that to pop up. So we'll just share this tab instead. I might get to that. I don't know, though. I went to the wrong thing here. Oh, we could go to this right away.
For folks in East Palestine, a small town, only 4,000 or 5,000, it's deja vu all over again. Another day just brings more news of them getting a really raw deal after that train derailment.
They drink tap water?
Pounds of chemicals spilled in their
They
town.
drink tap water today?
Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg still won't show up, but admitted he should have spoken out earlier, whatever speaking out means, or whatever good speaking out does the people of East Palestine is unclear. The governor came to show off a new health clinic set up to help people suffering from effects of the cancer-causing chemicals, except there's no doctors at the health clinic right now. Norfolk Southern CEO did an interview with CNBC today, yet his company's rail cars with toxic chemicals still sit in people's backyards. Good news, though, is scientists say everything is fine. Speaking of Norfolk Southern scientists, the Huffington Post reports the EPA relied on Norfolk Southern rather than their own tests to declare everything safe.
Duh.
And rather than demand bottled water for the town, a number of state officials did a dog and pony show laughing at how good the tap water tastes.
We believe in science, so we don't feel like we're being your guinea pig, but we don't mind proving to you that we believe the water's safe.
Okay,
Here's to
thank you. I
Caroline.
appreciate that.
Here's to you.
Thank you so much.
Did you see the pictures of the tap water there? I'm surprised.
Awesome.
They had to have put it through like a Brita or something because their tap water's colored.
That's good.
Courtney Miller lives in East Palestine, joins us now. The person who said he was that's good on the tape is the EPA administrator, federal EPA administrator. When you heard him say that's good and cheers and everybody kind of laugh in front of the cameras, are they calling you stupid?
I'm guessing it's just a joke. They are just a joke. If they won't think that we're stupid, I don't know how many times I've gone out there and thrown rocks in the creek and dug out the side of the creek. That stuff is still in there, and it's just as bad now as it was in the first video. I've watched them aerating the water. They're like pumping it through all these different things, and then the water's coming up and spewing out, but it hasn't changed. None of it has changed. The creek still looks exactly the same as it did from that video. There's nothing that it makes it look like they're doing something, but there's absolutely nothing being done. It still looks exactly the same, no matter where you go down the creek, up the creek.
Oh.
As far as I can go, well, as far as my property line, but I was only a couple football fields away from where it derailed.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find.
It's just a fucking show, you know? Yeah, Yalometer. But, man, he said it could be even 30 inches. That's crazy. What the fuck is going on, YouTube? How long has YouTube been messing up for me? Like a month? This is ridiculous. Okay. There was a lot of talk about this cousin Eddie person. And this video came across the Breakin'. I think it was last night. Will cousin Eddie testify for defense? Has anybody been watching this trial? I haven't paid any attention to it, except for maybe a couple shows from other creators. I haven't been paying attention to the trial, so I really don't know. I thought the dude was going to testify already, no? Buster? Yeah, I didn't know. I just saw this cousin Eddie. I'm like, huh. No way. Hold on. A white fella with short hair. Right? No. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. It did this fucking Sunday night too, where I hit the switch. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You guys sat there for fucking 3 minutes watching me barely even say nothing. All right, here we go. It did that Sunday night too. What the hell? Fucking YouTube. I don't know what is going on. It's been like a month now. There's so many weird. At least it's not doing the half screen glitchy stuff anymore. That's a bonus because that was really bad for a couple days there. But I don't know why the
2021, that homicide shooting involving Alex Murdoch. He, called 911. I've been shot in the head. I was fixing my flat tire and some car just drove by me and shot me in the head. If you don't remember it, well, I'm here for you. Here is the 911 call that he made.
I got a flat tire, and I stopped, and somebody stopped to help me. And when I turned my back, they tried to shoot me.
Oh, okay. Were you shot?
Yes, but I mean, I'm okay.
Can you give me a description of the person that shot you or shot at you?
A white fella.
A white male?
A fair amount younger than me. Really, really short hair.
I don't know about you, but every time I get shot in the head, I am not that lucid.
Man.
I like the 911 operator who says, "Oh,
at least it was
okay."
only 3 minutes.
So I'm not the only one who thinks this way, because there were people who drove by that ridiculous scene and they smelled a rat because they called 911. And would you like to hear the description that they gave to 911 of that they were driving?
It's good if you can see it right here. This is the mic arm. Dre, thank you. And I can swing it around, do all sorts of stuff. So thank you so much. Right. Just wait. I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm sitting there like watching this, thinking the tab switch. Fucking crazy. Yes, Dre, thank you. Soundboard's coming soon. I'm almost there.
Driving by, Alexa.
A man on the side of the road with blood all over him, and he's waving his hands. He looks fine, but it kind of looks like a setup, so we didn't stop.
Did you hear that?
Hey, they didn't stop. And then the 911 operator said, oh, that's a good idea. That's smart. You hear the description that they gave to 911 that what they were driving by? I thought you might, so have a listen.
A man on the side of the road with blood all over him, and he's waving his hands. He looks fine, but it kind of looks like a setup, so we didn't stop.
Kind of looks like a setup.
Right. They didn't stop. And then the 911 operator said, oh, that's a good idea. That's smart that you didn't, they said they looked like a setup. They said it looked up. Those were their words. It looked like a setup. Turns out it was. And there were so many stories that followed. Alec first said, well, first he said, someone tried to shoot me. Then he said, okay, I actually called my cousin Eddie to come out and shoot me in the head to kill me, so that my son Buster could get $10 million in life insurance. Because I feel so bad about the deaths of my wife and my son. I thought I'd kill myself to, let Buster really have a crappy life with $10 million. Well, then the prosecutor said that was not at all what really happened. The prosecutor said, no, what you were trying to do was make it look like there's someone out there shooting Murdochs, right? Paul and Maggie got it first, and then you were gonna get it next. But what's the whole Cousin Eddie business? What's that part of it? Because he's been in the clink ever since. And I am so thrilled to be joined by attorney Amy Zemrak, defense attorney. She's been representing Curtis Eddie Smith. She's been on this program before. She is a friend of the program. I keep asking the question.
This is the joke that I fake laughed to when you guys noticed I was watching something, but you guys weren't. This is the joke I fake laughed at. It's so cheesy.
Amy, is he going to take the stand? He did not in the case in chief. Is he going to take the stand in the defense case?
Actually, you and I ask the same questions every day. If I had a penny every time I've been asked that question, I wouldn't have to take any more cases for quite some time.
But doesn't there have to be some planning involved? I mean, where is he being housed? Is he just a hop skip from the courthouse? Like if they just decide, boom, to call him, he's ready to go? Because he's incarcerated.
He is actually in protective custody in Lexington County Detention Center, which is about an hour and a half from Walterboro, from where he is now. And one thing I wanted to say, actually, I was just watching right before I came on, and your last guest said, oh, he was hired. He hired Cousin Eddie, or Cousin Eddie was paid. None of those are true. He was not ever hired. He was not ever paid anything. Eddie was simply responding to a call because he thought Alec needed help. And obviously it changes when they get out to the side of the road. So I just keep wanting to, I know there's so much misinformation out there, but that's really important, I think, because, there was no payment, there was no hiring.
How about, because lots of checks went back and forth, right? Like lots of checks went from Murdoch to your client, tens of thousands, millions of dollars. And so what about the drug connection between them? Was he paid in drugs? What was the drug connection between them?
So obviously those are still pending charges. I'm limited on what I can say to that. But what I can tell you is if everybody wants to call Eddie Smith a drug dealer, worst drug dealer in the history, because he had one client, and that client was Alec Murdoch.
Was Eddie ever offered immunity for any kind of testimony with regard to the case?
Absolutely not. No, he was not. And he was prepared and is prepared. They still may call him in rebuttal. And he's still under the state subpoena. He has not been subpoenaed by the defense. So I find it interesting that, Dick welcomes the chance to cross-examine him or to get him on the stand. Guys, but sorry, my dogs are decided to play right now.
That's okay. You should have seen what kind of day I've had on the air. I just choked and had to show everybody my root beer, which I've never done.
I thought it was bourbon. I was hoping.
Well, it does look like bourbon, but that would make me choke more. Amy, I still, how much time do you have to be notified? When are we going to know if your client's going to get on the stand in this double murder case? Because it's going to happen. There has to be advance notification. Are you the one who's going to get it? And if you do, how long in advance will you get it?
Well, yeah, I better be the one to get it. I certainly have to be there when he testifies. And starting
Thank you,
tomorrow
Kat.
morning, I'm picking a jury in Richland County, which is the county adjacent to Lexington, and also about an hour and a half north of Walterboro. So there are, my trial would have to get put on hold for a bit. So, I mean, professional courtesy would hope that I would have at least 24 hours notice to let the judge know, to let my jury know.
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy. The wheels have to be put in motion. Moving inmates around and moving court appearances around it's not easy. But you will join us if it happens and let us know all about it that day, right?
I absolutely will. The other issue, there's an interesting issue, Ashley, as well. The courthouse in Walterboro only has one holding cell, and certainly we can't put Alec and my client in the same holding cell. So it's another twist in the Murdaugh bingo card.
Wow, that's a big logistical twist. Thank you for telling me that. Okay, well, I wonder how they work that out. I don't know how they'd ever have how do they ever have a defendant who's not had bail and has a jailhouse snitch come in? I mean, okay, well, we're going to have another conversation. Thank you for watching.
That's interesting. So you guys were talking about Buster's testimony. So I'm going to play News Nations. Let me know if you guys agree with what they say. It's just a short video here, four and a half or so.
I want to bring in Rachel Fizet, attorney, and Misty Maris, an attorney as well, to talk about where the defense is going with this an hour in. I would say Buster has remained very composed as he describes some pretty tragic moments in his life, to say the least. He had the funeral for his mom and brother on a Saturday, and the following day they gathered as a family for the funeral of his grandfather. Misty, I'm going to start with you. The defense's strategy here, where do you think this goes next?
Yeah, all of this direct examination of Buster is going to the defense themes. That specifically is that there could have been an alternative theory here, that there was another shooter, maybe two shooters. It all started with the beginning of Buster's testimony when they're talking about the guns on the property. The defense spent a long time talking to Buster about that shotgun and the fact that it was loaded with a buckshot and a birdshot. We know this is the gun that killed Paul. Buster testified he nor anyone else that he knew, presumably Alec Murdaugh, would load a gun that way. So again, out of character there for Alec Murdaugh to load a gun in that manner. Also, the other gun, the .300 blackout rifle that kills Maggie. He said that Paul often left his guns around on the property. So this is all speaking to the fact that there's accessibility to these guns. There's an alternative explanation for how these guns were involved. We also heard a lot of what I would call comparative data. What's in and out of character for Alex Murdaugh? Remember, the prosecution is saying that Alex Murdaugh is creating an alibi by making a flurry of call and text messages shortly after the murders occur. Well, Buster is now saying that this is the way the family communicated, that the family often texted and called back and forth, and a lot of times while they were driving. And lastly, we know that the prosecution has said that Alec Murdaugh did not act the way you would expect somebody to act when faced with this terribly traumatic situation. Buster now trying a testimony undercutting that argument that his father was devastated and destroyed. Defense will make the point that Buster knows his father best, so he's the one who's going to understand the way that his father would act in this type of situation. He'd be the best to identify that he's devastated and destroyed. So all of this going to the defense themes, alternative explanation for the murders. And lastly, he also said there was an opportunity for Alec Murdaugh to get rid of the evidence after the fact because they were together. So all of this to undercut the prosecution's case.
The other thing, Rachel, that the defense has done multiple times is paint a picture of a happy family that was going through some challenging moments with the boat accident and the civil and criminal lawsuits. But you see a weekend or two before the video of them at a birthday party at their beach place. Maggie made a birthday cake for Paul. They sing to him, they're hugging, they're laughing, they're on a boat together. How does the jury receive this information, this personal side of this family, knowing that two they are brutally murdered?
The defense is humanizing the family. It has been very even-tempered. She's talking about in the course of events that they had family gatherings, that they were an incredibly communicative family, that they spoke often. So they're establishing patterns of communication that not only would support Murdoch's defense, but that would show a happy family, a family that wouldn't murder each other. That's basically the underlying tone. In just establishing a baseline of how this family operated and how they had a lot of togetherness, and they were together often, and they celebrated together and they talked, and this would not be a family that would have the father come in and kill the wife and brother. So I think that's a lot of what Buster is doing here, and the defense is taking him very slowly, very methodically through the night, which again doesn't really give us much evidence as to what actually happened.
Wow.
He certainly wasn't there, but he's just showing how the family operated and what everybody's role was within the family, including his dad's.
Well, thank you for watching. Go to News.
Wow, he didn't even know his dad's birthday, huh? That's crazy. Well, they found Nicola's... Well, it was confirmed they found her body, Nicola Bully, this weekend. It's been confirmed. This is crime scene to courtroom. I'm going to switch topics here. Crime scene to courtroom. And I wanted to check out their video on their opinion of it. Let me see here. Pretty interesting. Found downstream. It makes you wonder if her body was placed there after the search. I don't know. It makes you wonder, you know.
Is this the data that gives us...
When I first heard it, when I first heard they found her body and it was only a mile down the stream, I was like, what? I don't know, it's just weird to me. So I want to hear what they have to say. Yeah. It just sounds like, I don't know, it's just really fishy.
Thus, some indication as to why the body of Nick...
So that's where her body was found, huh? Because I think it was from two people walking by. I wonder if they were walking by here or if they were walking by up there. They might have been walking by up there, maybe. Because I don't know how you'd see it up here if you're walking up here and it was down here. I don't know. Unless they... I don't know. That's a big brush. I wonder where.
The bully the 9th of February. So firstly, and in my opinion, most importantly, let's take a look at some data concerning the river wire in the St. Michael's on Wire area.
I don't know what you're talking about, Cope.
And the day that the body was discovered. And here we can see on the 8th...
I'm not even sure what you're talking about, Cope. It's true story. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
So firstly, and in my opinion, most importantly, let's take a look at some data concerning the river wire in the St. Michael's on Wire area on the days leading up to and the day that the body was discovered. And here we can see on the 18th, which is the day before the body was discovered next to the riverbank, quite a big shift in the river level. It has risen up to a peak and dropped very quickly. This also appears to be one of the highest, if not the highest point that the river has reached since Nicola Bully went missing.
What?
Now, when we combine that data with where the body was actually
Okay, hold on. Let me try and pay attention to that again.
was discovered on the 19th of February. So firstly, and in my opinion, most importantly, let's take a look.
Kelt, I don't do any modding with the comments. I don't even get on YouTube chat. I just leave it up to the mods to do whatever. I just highlight a comment. That's all I do. YouTube's too buggy for me to go to YouTube. That's why I can't get links from YouTube chat if people send them in chat, because literally the YouTube chat is so buggy. It's like I get chat literally like 20 minutes before it actually, or after it took place. It's so buggy. So I literally can't get any links. I literally can't get any links off YouTube. That's why I always ask everybody to send stuff in by message or something. So yeah, it would have to be one of the mods if a message was held back.
Look at some data concerning the river wire in the St. Michael's on Wire area. So firstly, and in my opinion, most importantly, let's take a look at some data concerning the river wire.
I leave it up
St.
to the
Michael's
mods.
on Wire area on the days leading up to and the day that the body was discovered. And here we can see on the 18th.
And I want to say to the mods, thank you. I appreciate you. I'm going to start it over again. I want to say thank you to the mods. I appreciate you, and thank you for managing chat when I'm not able to during the shows, because really it is hard for me to do that. And I appreciate you guys doing that.
Was discovered 19th of February. So firstly, and in my opinion, most importantly, let's take a look at some data concerning the river wire in the St. Michael's on Wire area on the days leading up to and the day that the body was discovered.
It would have to be a mod.
And here
I
we
really
can see
can't
on
do
the
anything.
18th, which is the day before the body was discovered next to the riverbank, quite a big shift in the river level. It has risen up to a peak and dropped very quickly. This also appears to be one of the highest, if not the highest point that the river has reached since Nicola Bully went missing.
Okay,
Now, when we combine that data with where the body was actually recovered from, as in the side of the riverbank, close to a lot of thick vegetation, a fallen tree, I believe, is sticking out or submerged in the water with a lot of branches sticking out, and obviously the reeds that surround the area. And when we combine that with this sharp rise and fall in the river level, it could give us a very simple explanation as to why it has taken 23 days for this body to be recovered. Now, why I say that is because this sharp rise and fall in the river level does not appear to be a common occurrence. It's not as if it's happening every 24 hours or every 2 or 3 days. This appears to be one of the highest points that it's reached since this woman went missing. Now, this is by no means meant to be a definitive answer as to why Nicola Bully was discovered on the 19th of February. But at this point in time, I'm seeing a lot of talk about, third-party involvement. Is there foul play taking place here? Was her body put back into the river? And, really, when you're coming up with those ideas, you also have to sort of backward ration your thinking in some way. It's very easy to get carried away with what you see on the face of things, rather than actually taking a look at the scene and what that can tell us. Has anything...
Yeah, I thought they did too. And it was only a mile down the road. I don't know, guys. I watched that thing a few times with everything going on with chat, and I couldn't understand what they were. Just wasn't able to focus. So I'm assuming, and if I'm wrong, correct me, because I wasn't able to focus. But if I'm assuming that they're talking about the water level rising, not lowering, but rising. And maybe somehow that's what helped her body show up or something. I'm not sure, though. I'm not sure. But correct me if I'm wrong.
Changed in the days leading up to this discovery in terms of the river, the very place where Nicola Bully's body was found. Has anything changed with that specific location? And you can see here, there is a
I don't know.
remarkable change just the day before this body is discovered.
Oh.
Also combine that with the rise in temperature.
Okay, so the day before, the water rose a tremendous amount. And then because it went back down, so were they basically saying that her body was submerged until the water level rose, and then after the water level rose, then it brought it back up?
And you do have a natural occurrence here, which could tell us why the body resurfaced on the 19th. It's also important that I mention that at this point in time, I am keeping an open mind in terms of what has transpired here with the case of Nicola Bulley. It's not the case that I'm just coming out with this video to discredit people who, believe that something has taken place here, that some foul play is involved. I'm not here to discredit anybody. What I'm here to do is just to try and provide a sensible platform of discussion and explain how it could be possible in terms of natural occurrences.
Okay.
This isn't about telling people that they're stupid for thinking that something has taken place here, because at the end of the day, we do not know. At this point in time, there's no toxicology report, there's no autopsy which has taken place, it's in the hands of the coroner at the present time, and really, we need to wait for the results of those tests. Now, I've received a fair few comments in the comment section to my video regarding the 2 videos I made before the discovery of the body of Nicola Bulley, where I talked extensively about the area downstream needing to be searched a lot more thoroughly, and I explained some of my reasoning behind that. So I just want to go over that again, just to give you my own thought process on why I believe that particular area was of great importance. Now, when the police arrived on scene, they first arrived there, they see the bench, the harness, the phone, and Willow the dog running between the gate and the bench, backwards and forwards. This dog, at this point in time, by all accounts, was bone dry. Now, during the early parts, the early stages of this investigation, I think many of us were of the opinion that either this was some kind of tragic accident, or maybe there was some sort of foul play here, an abduction, or maybe Nicola had just left via her own accord. But with the recent release of some of her more personal details, for me, that changed things dramatically. I always stuck to the idea that the police couldn't be sure that she hadn't left the Riverside area due to the fact that there's no CCTV covering her walk whatsoever, nor the start of her walk on Blackpool Lane, on the towpath, or where she would exit back onto that same lane, Blackpool Lane. It was not covered by any CCTV. But for me personally, with the release of that information, it changed the entire case for me. It now became a fact that this individual may have entered the water voluntarily. So you may not just be looking at a very shallow section of water by the bench where someone may have accidentally fell in and just simply vanished. We were also looking at the possibility here that someone could have entered that water by their own accord, which to me opened up the entirety of the Riverside area, combined with the fact, as I say, that there was no CCTV covering the entry point or exit point. So from there, I decided to take a look or think about how this investigation would have taken place at the earliest stages. Where would they have looked? Clearly, a lot of resources were put directly below the bench area, but then I think they had a decision to make at this point in time. It's either go back upstream, where the last eyewitness account took place, the last eyewitness sighting of Nicola Bulley, which took place on the upper field. Do they go from the bench upstream, or do they go from the bench downstream? And I think very early on here, they decided to go from the bench upstream to the last known location or the last eyewitness sighting of Nicola Bulley. Now, with that in mind, and the fact that Willow the dog was running between the bench and the gate, I then took a closer look at the towpath itself, and it became apparent that if you walk back down the towpath, there's actually a gate across Blackpool Lane which leads you further downstream, which ultimately was where Nicola Bulley's body was discovered. So in my mind, what has taken place here, and this is obviously based on the assumption that this was a deliberate act, which we do not know. We do not know if this was an accident, whether this was intentional. We do not know at this stage. It's important to remember that. But if this was an intentional act, then I believe that Willow the dog was trapped or kept one side of the fence, possibly even distracted for a moment in time. Nicola would have then walked back down the towpath, crossed Blackpool Lane, straight through the gate, and followed the river further downstream. Because I thought to myself, would you really want to be in that situation with your dog by your side? No, you wouldn't. You would not want the dog to either be harmed in some way, maybe jumping in after you, and you would not want that dog to draw unnecessary attention to what is taking place. Also bear in mind that that location further downstream is most likely less frequented with dog walkers. However, as I say, that is just a pure assumption at this point in time. This could have been simply a tragic accident. But the problem that I have with that is the fact that if this was indeed an accident, I still can't work out how that body moved such a distance that it wasn't discovered on the first day. And that is what really confuses me with this case. It's not like this lady was missing for 2 or 3 days and then the divers turn up there and jump in. They were there within a few hours. And everything that we know, statistically speaking, about bodies who enter water, they do not move very far, particularly early on. And the point at which the bench is located, that river or that part of the river is hardly moving at all. It really sort of picks up after the weir location. So if indeed it was an accident, I still find that very, very hard to believe based on the fact that her body was found half a mile away. And as I say, without the presence of a toxicology report or a full autopsy or any sort of report from the coroner, it's almost impossible at this point in time to figure out or speculate about exactly what has taken place here. This could have been a tragic accident, as we say. This could have been intentional, or there could be some foul play involved. We do not know at this point in time. But I would say, just take a look at what I showed you during the first part of this video, this rise in water level. Could this be the natural occurrence combined with the recent rise in temperature? Could this explain, in terms of a natural occurrence, why that body was discovered just the very next day? It's certainly worthy of consideration. Anyway, many thanks for joining me for this particular video. If you found this video helpful, please do give the video a thumbs up below and subscribe to the channel. Now look,
it's definitely suspicious, that's for sure. I thought this was interesting. This video just came across. I am going to hit on a little bit of this tonight, even though I'm not doing the special on it. I'm going over my breaking subscription thing here, and it has Buttigieg saying something about not speaking out sooner. So I'm like, let's listen to this here. Let's listen to this BS. Definitely suspicious about Nicola Bowley.
Let's bring in Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. Secretary, good to see you. Thanks for being here. What steps is the administration and specifically the Transportation Department taking right now to fix things on the ground?
So there are several things that we're working on, even while we continue to respect the work of the independent NTSB, the National Transportation Safety Board, which for good reason is independent from my department. Is leading the safety investigation. And it'll take a while for their report to come through, but we don't have to wait for that report in order to take certain steps that we are calling for and taking right now. Today, we're pushing a 3-part drive on rail safety. Things we're doing as an agency, things we're asking Congress to do to support us, and things we're saying need to change in the rail industry. I'll give you a couple examples. We are continuing to drive forward on a rule that will require minimum staffing on trains at a time when the rail industry has been pushing to be allowed to have as few as 1 person, even on trains that can run a mile long or longer. At a minimum, there need to be 2, and that's something that we're working on through the regulatory process. A second thing is that I've directed the Federal Rail Administration to conduct a stepped-up, focused inspection program on routes that are carrying certain kinds of hazardous materials. And we need to work on the bigger picture, too. That's where I'm calling Congress in to do things like raising the cap on fines so we can better hold rail companies accountable when there are violations.
But is there anything that the Transportation Department could have done sooner to avoid this from happening in the first place?
Well, our personnel were on the ground within hours of this incident, but I do think that every rail incident calls the question on how we can strengthen the regulation of rail safety in this country. Now, that is something that the rail industry has fought, but that we have been raising the bar on since we got here and will continue to do. Look, whether it's the crew staffing rule or whether it's the regulations around the strength of the tanks containing the material that transits, again, I'm not going to get ahead of the NTSB's finding on some of the specific root causes in this incident, but we know enough to know that it's long past time to continue the work of raising the bar on rail safety. Doing our work on that, we're asking Congress, especially since there seems to be some newfound bipartisan interest in doing something, to untie our hands and make it possible for us to do more.
And what about the rail companies themselves? I mean, specifically in this instance, how are you holding this rail company accountable?
Well, first of all, we're going to hold them accountable to the fullest extent of the law on any violations from Norfolk Southern that contributed to this disaster. Meanwhile, the EPA is holding them responsible for the cleanup. And I know the EPA Administrator, Michael Regan, has been on the ground today emphasizing just that. But one of the reasons that I'm asking Congress for help is that right now there is a cap on the toughest fines that we can impose, about $250,000.
Oh, now he wants to fine
when
people.
You're thinking about multi-billion-dollar freight rail companies, I don't think that is enough.
There's the link if you guys want to watch this or have it for yourself. I think it's kind of interesting that he's saying all this stuff right now. You would think that a lot of this talk would have been that day, the next day, the day that it was fucking controlled burn, maybe.
To have the deterrent effect that we need as a regulator. Many areas where I'm asking Congress to stand up, frankly, to the rail industry and go the extra mile to help us put more strength in our toolbox.
I mean, did they actually break safety protocols here?
So that, again, it is the outcome of an investigation, and I'm not going to get ahead of the results of that investigation. What I will say is that Norfolk Southern is a multi-billion-dollar railroad company that has stood with its peers to push back on regulation after regulation to try to water down, weaken, or in some cases remove important rail safety rules, and too often they get their way. I think that the rail industry needs to move immediately to take certain steps, like protect whistleblowers in the industry. That's something that they could sign up for today. We have a program that would make that possible. They need to proactively let states know when they're coming through with hazardous materials. They need to finish the job and get sick leave to their workers, because a healthy workforce is a safe workforce. So we're going to continue pressing ahead on formal requirements and regulations. I'm asking Congress to push ahead on rules, but industry shouldn't wait for us to force them to do the right thing.
And you have said that you would visit East Palestine when the time is right, but it's been 2 weeks since this derailment. When is the time right?
So I'm planning to go, and when I do, it will be focused on action, not on politics, not on show. In the early days, I have been respecting the role that the independent NTSB plays and staying out of their way, but we are now entering the policy phase of our response to this. And even as NTSB continues finalizing their work, this is the right time for us to be looking at immediate steps from USDOT.
But sir, you ran for president. You understand politics better than most, and you know the importance of showing up. So why not go sooner to show people on the ground the efforts being made by the administration?
Well, again, the administration was on the ground from day one. I have followed the normal practice of transportation secretaries in the early days after a crash, allowing NTSB to lead the safety work and staying out of their way. But I am very eager to have conversations with people in East Palestine about how this has impacted them. And again, when I'm there, the focus is going to be on results. It's going to be on work that needs to be done, because one thing I saw as a mayor dealing with multiple disasters is that there's two kinds of people who show up in the aftermath of a disaster. People who are there because they have a specific role to play and they're there to play their role and do the work and help the community. And people who are there because they want to be seen being there and they want to look good. When I'm there, it's going to be about action.
But we have heard from the mayor, we've heard from residents that
The fuck kind of comment was that, bro?
Representation on the ground.
You're gonna
they
say,
think
like,
that that's important. I mean, can you give us?
gonna sit there and talk shit about other fucking people being there for a show, but you haven't been. What kind of comment is that, dude?
People who are there because they have a specific role to play, and they're
What
there
the
to
fuck?
play their role and do the work and help the community.
At least they were
People
there.
are there because they want to be seen being there and they want to look good.
At least they were
when
there.
I'm there, it's going to be about action.
But we have heard from the mayor, we've heard from residents that want to see representation on the ground. They think that that's important. I mean, can you give us any sort of timeline about when you may visit?
At least he was there. At least he was saying something. Your ass wasn't doing shit. The fuck kind of comment is that? Fuck off.
USDOT representation on the ground began within hours of the incident, and I'm looking forward to getting there as well, while respecting the independent role of the NTSB.
Do you think the president should visit?
Look, right now, I'm focused on making sure that we have the tools that are needed on the ground to respond to this. You've got EPA there. You got our departments supporting the NTSB's work there. You've got the CDC, Home Health and Human Services there to look after the health side. And we've got to make sure that that agency response continues. I know the president cares a lot about what's happening there. He's spoken to me about it, and we are going to continue doing everything we can to make sure this community is not left behind.
And what do you think of the former president visiting there tomorrow?
Look, I don't know exactly what he's planning to do there, especially since his administration was
Support people?
anti-regulation and pro-industry.
Support
every
people?
step of the way. I mean, there are a number of cases where regulations, including safety regulations and regulations that related to rail, were either watered down or frozen in place by his administration. But I don't know what he's planning to do there. I do know that we have work to do that we've been underway on from day one of this situation. And
Bullshit.
while the politics will come and go and the grandstanding
What a
will come
cocky
and go,
son of a
we will
bitch.
be there for the long haul to make sure that this community is supported and to make sure that there's more accountability for the railroad industry in this country.
Are you confident in the nation's railway?
What a cocky son of a bitch. And then listen to him making sure. He's saying all the right things now. Where were you at a long ass time ago? Three fucking weeks? And that's why Pothole Pete is pothole. Why do you guys call him Pothole Pete? I don't know what that means. What does that mean? What's the Pothole Pete mean thing? Did he like mishandle funds for the roads or something, and they couldn't get work done? I'm curious to know why you guys call him that.
At this point?
Pothole Pete.
Well, what I'll say is there's been enormous progress, but there's a long way to go. Derailments are about half of what they were at the beginning of this century, but until there are zero, I'm not satisfied. We have more work to do as a country. We're doing more work as a department, and I'm calling on Congress to act and rail industry to get out of the way.
I mean, just in recent months, we've seen, recent air traffic control systems melt down. We've had a few near collisions at airports. We've had this train derailment. Prior to the infrastructure bill, we were seeing bridges collapsing. I mean, what do you say to Americans who say that they're just not sure it's safe to move around freely around this country right now? Is the administration really meeting Americans where they are on these issues?
This is one of the reasons we fought so hard to get infrastructure funding. You saw bridges collapsing in the United States of America and decades of underinvestment catching up to us. We are making the investment that is long overdue in our infrastructure in order to maintain safety. Just as we are working to maintain safety in the aviation system, a remarkable fact that a form of transportation that involves flying through the air nearly at the speed of sound has the safety record that it does, where in most recent years there have been zero passenger fatalities on airlines. But we have a lot of work to do. There's more to do on rail. I am particularly concerned about roadway safety in this country, which often gets less attention, but claims 40,000 lives a year. We can't treat that as normal or as the cost of doing business. And that's why, whether we're talking about road, rail, air, or any other form of transportation, we are squarely focused on safety in the U.S. Department of Transportation. We always
bullshit. And isn't that funny how how the roads are most important, but everybody in chat's talking about Pothole Pete? That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Well, we finally got some Nancy Grace. I don't know if it's a podcast or if it's an actual video or not, but this talks about Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie. Excuse me. About Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie. Oh, whoops. And it's about the Notebook. It's top vote state. Which is he? Yeah. I don't know. It's just I put the link out there if you guys want that. I was just like, bunch of bullshit. Brian Laundrie's Notebook musings after he unalives Gabby Petito. And I love Nancy Grace. Hopefully it's a video. I don't think it is.
Crime Stories with Nancy Grace. Hi guys, Nancy Grace here. In the last days, we've been hearing a lot of developments, believe it or not, in the Gabby Petito murder case. That's right. We know Brian Laundrie committed suicide in the Carlton Reserve, basically 25,000 acres of swampland in Florida, giving a detailed, very, very self-beneficial admission in a notebook where he wrote down his, let me just say, thoughts and feelings. Well, that said, in the last days, a so-called burn letter has emerged. A letter purportedly written by Brian Laundrie's mother to him, offering to bring a shovel to bury a body, words to that effect, offering to get him out of prison, words to that effect, and on the outside of the envelope stating burn after reading. Not only that, multiple lawsuits flying, and they are heartbreaking. You know, you can read a lot of news reports and hear a lot of reporters talking about it.
Yeah.
But let's take a thorough examination at exactly what has been filed by Gabby's family against not only the Moab Police Department, who treated her, Gabby, as the aggressor. This after a selfie emerges taken before the Moab police pulled them over, where she was battered and bruised, bleeding and crying, having been beaten by Brian Laundrie, yet they, the police, accused her of being the aggressor. A lawsuit relating to that, and a lawsuit relating to the so-called burn letter. Take a listen to this.
Gabby, I wish I was right at your side. I wish I could be talking to you right now.
Who's this?
I'd be going through every memory we've made, getting even more excited for the future.
Oh, this is the
I can't
Notebook.
live without you. I've lost every day we could have spent together, every holiday.
Hold on.
I'll never get...
Sorry, I didn't realize that this was like a narration of the Notebook.
Who treated her, selfie emerges taken before the Moab police pulled them, having been beaten by Brian Laundrie of being the aggressor. A lawsuit relating to that, and a lawsuit relating to the so-called burn letter. Take a listen to this.
Gabby, I wish I was right at your side. I wish I could be talking to you right now. I'd be going through every memory we've made, getting even more excited for the future. I can't live without you. I've lost every day we could have spent together, every holiday. I'll never get to play with unintelligible again. Never go hiking with PJ. I loved you more than anything. I can't bear to look at our photos, to recall great times, because it is why I cannot go on. When I close my eyes, I will think of laying on the roof of the van, falling asleep to the sight of a meteor shower at the Crystal Geysers, I will always love you. If you were reading Gab's journal, looking at the photos from our life together, flipping through old cards, you wouldn't want to live a day without her. Knowing that every day you'll wake up without her, you wouldn't want to wake up. I'm sorry to everyone this will affect. Gabby was the love of my life, but I know adored by many. I'm so very sorry to her family because I love them. I'd consider her younger siblings my best of friends. I'm sorry to my family. This is a shock to them as well as a terrible grief. They've loved
Oh,
as
yeah,
much,
it's a
if not
shock.
more than me. A new daughter to my mother, an aunt to my nephews. Please do not make this harder for them. This occurred as an unexpected tragedy. Rushing back to our car, trying to cross the streams of Spread Creek before it got too dark to see and too cold, I hear a splash and a scream. I could barely see. I couldn't find her for a moment. I shouted her name and found her breathing heavily, gasping my name. She was freezing cold. We had just come from the blazing hot national parks in Utah. The temperatures had dropped to freezing and she was soaking wet. I carried her as far as I could down the stream towards the car, stumbling, exhausted and shocked. When my knees buckled and knew I couldn't safely carry her, I started a fire and spooned her as close to the heat. She was so thin, had already been freezing too long. I couldn't at the time realize that I should have started a fire first, but I wanted her out of the cold back to the car. From where I started the fire, I had no idea how far the car might be. Only knew it was across the creek. When I pulled Gabby out of the water, she couldn't tell me what hurt. She had a small bump on her forehead that eventually got larger. Her feet hurt, her wrist hurt, but she was freezing, shaking violently. While carrying her, she continually made sounds of pain. Laying next to her, she said little, lapsing between violent shakes.
Yeah, that's probably after you beat the fucking shit out of her because we saw the damn photo she took after the Moab police situation. I'm sure this is true right here. But how it got there? I don't think so. I'm sure she was doing all this shit.
Eventually got larger. Her feet
That's just
hurt,
my opinion.
her wrist hurt, but she was freezing, shaking
That's just my
violently.
opinion.
While carrying her, she continually made sounds of pain. Laying next to her, she said little, lapsing between violent shakes, gasping in pain, begging for an end to her pain. She would fall asleep, and I would shake her awake, fearing she shouldn't close her eyes if she had a concussion. She would wake in pain, start the whole painful cycle again, while furious that I was the one waking her. She wouldn't let me try to cross the creek, thought like me that this fire would go out in her sleep and she'd freeze. I don't know the extent of Gabby's injuries, only that she was in extreme pain. I ended her life. I thought it was merciful, that it was what she wanted. But I see now all the mistakes I made. I panicked. I was in shock. But from the moment I decided took away her pain, I knew
Yeah,
I
because
couldn't
you
go on
fucking
without her.
caused brain damage.
I rushed home to spend any time I had left with my family. I wanted to drive north and let James or TJ kill me, but I wouldn't want them to spend time in jail over my mistake, even though I'm sure they would have liked to. I am ending my life not because of a fear of punishment, but rather because I can't stand to live another day without her. I've lost our whole future together, every moment we could have cherished. I'm sorry for everyone's loss. Please do not make life harder for my family. They've lost a son and a daughter, the most wonderful girl in the world. Gabby, I'm sorry. I've killed myself by this creek in the hopes that animals may tear me apart, that it may make some of her family happy. Please pick up all of my things. Gabby hated people who litter.
And there you have it.
Gabby
Thanks,
hated people who litter. I mean, yeah, I could see bits of truth in that. That was the Notebook. That was the Notebook that he wrote in before he unalived himself. his recounts of what took place. You know, the whole story of how she fell and he heard a noise and all that stuff. You saw the pictures. You saw that lump on her frickin' head. And just my opinion, this is what I think took place. He beat the fucking shit out of her to the point where it was too far. And yeah, they probably were out hiking or something. Fucking did something. Went too far. And then all that shit about, you know, I think it was about here. I think all this was true. Like how she was acting and reacting and you know, I think where you know, where he did that campfire and spooned, I think he was trying to see if she would come out of whatever she was in. Before he, you know, went and did what he did. I think he was trying to see if she would come out of it and realize that she wasn't. And I'm assuming I don't know. It just sounds to me like somebody choking. It just sounds like somebody was choked and got brain damage or got hit in the head hard enough where it caused brain damage. You hit somebody in the right spot and you saw where she got hit before. It was right above her eyebrows up here in this area. Okay? You know what's not too far is your fucking temple. Literally that far from right by your eyebrow. You hit somebody right there in the right spot, you can cause brain damage. And it sounds to me like it was some sort of brain damage with what is being explained here.
National parks in Utah. The temperatures had dropped to freezing and she was soaking wet. I carried her as far as I could down the stream towards the car, stumbling, exhausted, and shocked. When my knees buckled.
Yeah, this is what I think is the truth right here.
Knew I couldn't safely carry her. I started a fire and spooned her as close to the heat.
Yeah, I think the fire is true because there was in that area there was a fire. There was a makeshift campfire. I think they even said that they could tell that a tent was set up there too. So they did stay there. They did have a campfire. You know, who knows when she passed. But and I believe that they did know that there was a tent that was set up too. Yeah, exactly. And this is just my opinion. She was probably ending it with him because after she got hit, you know what I'm saying? After she got hit and after she went and stayed by herself and he had to go stay somewhere else, I think that she sat there that night when she was all alone, didn't have any negative influence constantly coming at her. I think she was able to speak, you know, think freely. Now, if she talked to somebody, we don't know. She didn't talk to her family. Of course, she's probably not going to talk to her family about this because most victims don't. And if they do, it's minimal, but usually they dismiss anything that happens, right? They're not going to talk to their family. So maybe there is somebody that she was talking to. Maybe she was part of some kind of, a lot of people these days get on social media apps and have apps where you can talk to somebody by texting them for support. Um, maybe she was part of that. I think what took place is, after that shit happened, because he had before then he had went back home for like a week or two and then flew back out there. And I think that first initial time, she was like, yo, this ain't working. You need to go home. We need to have a break. He went back home. Baby, I miss you. I miss you. In her head, okay, I'll give him another chance. I really shouldn't be out here alone anyway. So he comes back out there, and then it's the same old fucking shit. And so when they got pulled over, they were faced with the fact that either one of them could have went to jail. They were separated for the night, and I think that's the night that she decided, you know what, this is just not going to work. And I think that is what set him off. I think she told him, look, you're just going to have to go back home. We're done. We're through. He didn't want to accept that. And what took place took place. That's just my opinion. That's what I felt has happened ever since the Red, White, and Bethune video came out on Armchair Detective. When they found the van, and then when they found her very shortly after that, and then when everybody realized what actually took place, and then when we found out that Brian, this is before I even knew that Brian unalived himself. It's just something that you go home, you come back a week and a half later, it's just almost like, yeah, I'm kissing your ass. Everything's going to be great. You come back out there. Everything's fine for one fucking day. And then all of a sudden, shit obviously is going to go back to normal because you can only fake your character for so long before the true character comes back out. And then boom. And she's like, yo, just go. I think that's what happened. That's just my opinion. Yeah, that too. I don't know. I don't think she fell. I think she was telling him that she was done, and he didn't want to go back home. He wasn't going to take no for an answer. He wanted to be with her no matter what. I mean, you heard how controlling he was. When she was going out, he would take her driver's license and hide it so she couldn't go out with her friends. I mean, the dude would literally take her fucking ID and hide it so she couldn't go out to the bars with her friends. If that's not fucking controlling and possessive, then what is? If that's not a beginning sign of more things to come, I don't know what is, because who in the fuck would do that except a very, very, very possessive person? But I'm going to go ahead and replay this. This is what I think actually took place, the real part of the letter.
As far as I could down the stream towards the car, stumbling, exhausted, and shocked. When my knees buckled and knew I couldn't safely carry her, I started a fire and spooned her as close to the heat. She was so thin, had already been freezing too long. I couldn't at the time realize that I should have started a fire first, but I wanted her out of the cold back to the car. From where I started the fire, I had no idea how far the car might be. Only knew it was across the creek. When I pulled Gabby out of the water, she couldn't tell me what hurt. She had a small bump on her forehead that eventually got larger.
Yeah.
Her feet hurt, her wrist hurt, but she was freezing, shaking violently. While carrying her, she continually made sounds of pain. Laying next to her, she said little, lapsing between violent shakes, gasping in pain, begging for an end to her pain. She would fall asleep, and I would shake her awake, fearing she shouldn't close her eyes if she had a concussion. She would wake in pain, start the whole painful cycle again, while furious that I was the one waking her. She wouldn't let me try to cross the creek, thought like me that this fire would go out in her sleep and she'd freeze. I don't know the extent of Gabby's injuries, only that she was in extreme pain. I ended her life. I thought it was merciful, that it was what she wanted. But I see now all the mistakes I made. I panicked. I was in shock. But from the
Yeah, I bet
moment
you
I
were in
decided,
shock.
took away her pain, I knew I couldn't go on without her. I rushed home to spend any time I had left with my family.
You selfish
I
fuck.
wanted to drive north and let James
What
and
a
TJ.
selfish son of a bitch. You know, if you're gonna fucking unalive yourself too, why didn't you just do it there? No, I wanted to spend all the time I could with my family. Selfish.
Kill me. But I wouldn't want them to spend time in jail over my mistake, even though I'm sure they would have liked to. I'm ending my life not because of a fear of punishment, but rather because I can't stand to live another day without her. I've lost our whole future together, every moment we could have cherished.
Mhm.
I'm sorry for everyone's loss. Please do not make life harder for my family. They've lost a son and a daughter, the most wonderful girl in the world. Gabby, I'm sorry.
Fuck
I've
you.
killed myself by this creek in the hopes that animals may tear me apart, that it may make some of her family happy. Please pick up all of my things. Gabby hated people who litter.
And there you have it.
Wow. So animals can tear apart my body so it can bring some sort of enjoyment to the family. No, I think the enjoyment from the family would have been seeing your ass behind fucking bars and watching you suffer, bro. You took... I'll keep my mouth shut. Yeah, I just thought that was interesting, the whole notebook thing. Let me see here. There's some Brent Kopaka stuff I'd like to get into at some point, but these are pretty long videos here. That Crime Circus, I do want to check that out. I might not get to it tonight. Anybody heard? I did hear about the Madeleine McCann, that the mother and the father of the missing child are willing to do a DNA test to see if she truly is. This is harsh reality. Some of you guys have sent me this link to this channel. We have checked out a couple of the videos, so I do want to see what they have for us. Maybe they're going to do some kind of comparison or something. But I did hear, and it's exciting news, I did hear that the parents are going to agree to do the DNA testing. So that'll be cool. So hopefully it won't take too long to find out for sure. And wouldn't that be so crazy if it was in all of these, I mean, it'd be nice, for the young lady here in the video, it'd be nice for her to be able to find out who her real family is, no matter what. And so maybe that could happen if she isn't the girl. But can you imagine, like, how long's it been? 20 years or something? Nah, there's just certain things, Dre. I'll just keep up here. That girl did do a DNA test, I heard yesterday. Awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah. So I thought this would be a good video to check out. Yikes.
you're all well. I did a video earlier today and we talked about splitting the room. And when it comes to splitting the room, it's hard to find a case that when you talk about, it doesn't split the room as much as this one. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Madeleine McCann. And look, if you want me to do a live and you want to discuss the Madeleine McCann case, I'd love to. It's a case that I went through extensively over years, and I pretty much read every single document that was there to be had on this case. So look, if you want to have a chat, we will. But anyway, straight into the meat and potatoes. So this lady has come forward. I say lady, she's a young girl. She's around 20, or she thinks she's around. She's been told she's 21 years old, but obviously if she was Maddie, she'd be 19 years old. And look, she truly, truly believes that she is Maddie. It comes off the back end of a conversation that she'd apparently had or overheard. It's unclear by her grandmother, but it led her to dig, and she found that there was some distinct similarities, especially in her aesthetics, the way she looked, the eye defect that became a poster feature. That in itself was an annoyance early on in the case. For those of you who don't know, the issue that Maddie had with her eye, that there'd been specific, law enforcement said, do not release that information. It could place her in danger. Kate McCann released it. Anyway, like I said, we can talk about this for a long time if you want. But anyway, this person has come forward. They feel that they are indeed Madeleine McCann. And it's got so much traction on social media now that it has spiked the interest of Jerry and Kate McCann. Now, at the end of the day, when you're in a country that is paying £150,000 a month towards the ongoing search for Madeleine McCann, you can't really then ignore something like this that has gained the traction it has. So it would seem that they have agreed to investigate all potential avenues, and a DNA test is on the cards. So in the upcoming days, weeks, however long it takes to do this, we will potentially have a conclusion to this. I know what I feel the conclusion is going to be, but I'd like to hear your take on it. Let me know down below. But let's have a quick look at what we're talking about for those of you who are not completely familiar with this situation. So a young woman who believes she is missing British child, Madeleine McCann, has shared evidence to support her claims, allegedly prompting the McCanns to agree to a DNA test. Julia.
All right, I'm going to do one thing here. We're going to compare the nose real quick. Hold on.
Lady has come forward. I say lady, she's a young girl. She's around 20, or she, but obviously if she was Maddie, she'd be 9. Her to dig, and she found that there was some distinct similarities, especially in her aesthetics, the way she looked. Anyway, like I say, we can talk about this for a long time if you want. But anyway, this person has come forward. They feel that they are indeed. Let's have a quick look at what we're talking about for those of you who are not completely familiar with this situation. So a young woman who believes she is missing British child, Madeleine McCann, has shared
this stupid red line. How do I get rid of it? Give me 1 second. There we go. All right, hold on.
Evidence to support her claims, allegedly prompting the McCanns to agree to a DNA test. Julia Wendell from Poland went viral after launching an Instagram account named I Am Madeleine McCann, which stated she began wondering if she was Maddie a few months ago after hearing something from her grandma. The 21-year-old has since shared a string of photos and that she claims prove her likeness to the missing girl, and of almost 1,000 who are gripped by the latest twist in one of the world's most infamous unsolved cases. Infamous indeed. It goes on to say Madeleine McCann from Leicestershire in the United Kingdom went missing from her bed in a holiday apartment. For those of you who go over it, because you will have poured through this, this up to Bruckner being brought in as a potential suspect, which just happened to coincide with pressure being put on the government to cease funding into this case. So coincidentally, they coincided and led to nothing. But anyway, that's for another day. And it just goes on to say, look, Julia is the latest person in a string of unsubstantiated claims from people claiming they could be missing Maddie, but her likeness to the youngster has captured huge attention online. Got a picture of Julia there, and Maddie, the picture that everyone will be familiar of Maddie, one of the ones been in media for many years now. There we have a picture that Julia is showing that similarity in the dimple on the cheek there. And she also has the coloboma in her right eye, which is an extremely rare condition that Madeleine shared as well. So all of these things are building up to form a picture that indeed this person could be Maddie. And look, the way I look at it is this: for many years now, since 2007 when Madeleine went missing, now we have been funding this ongoing search, the taxpayer. And like
Wow. That's interesting. Yeah. I don't know. I was looking at the nose. Let me see here. I wish I knew how to just switch it, but I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I was looking at the nose. It doesn't. No sound. No sound. Yeah, I don't know, SRB. I agree with you. I was looking at the nose, and I don't know. I have a feeling it's going to come back not a match. But I do hope that the young lady does find out who her you guys couldn't hear him talking? Huh. I mean, I'm not playing the video. The video's on pause right now. The last 2-3 minutes cut out. Huh. But you saw him talking and stuff, huh? Wow. Yeah, I haven't. It's been on pause for a couple minutes. I just paused it after it was done before I switch. When's the next night you can join, Kevin, and we can try and do that part 4 again? Because I really wanted to have you on and us get into some of those chemicals and stuff like we were discussing. Let me see what else I got. So that is interesting, but I don't know. I just don't think the features look the same. Why the Idaho survivor did not call 911. This is Minutes of Horror. We do check out their channel here and there. I love the logo. Really cool logo. Thursday? Okay. Yeah, tomorrow afternoon, or if you're in tomorrow night's show, buddy, just, if you'd like to try and do that Thursday night. I definitely would. I have so much on the Ohio and the chemical spill stuff, so much on it. Yeah, I have to do a part 4 soon because it's getting to the point where it's already going the length of another show beyond what I already have. So I really need to get that special knocked out part 4. So this is Minutes of Horror, and this is about, in their opinion, I'm assuming, why the Idaho forest survivor did not call 911.
Ever since the arrest of the Idaho murder suspect and the release of the affidavit, the burning question remains, why didn't surviving roommates, especially Dylan Mortison, the one who visually saw the suspect walk past her and heard the most noise, not call the cops? And you know what? It's a very valid question to ask, but I don't think we should be blaming her for murder or saying she was involved in the murder in any way. And this is coming off of the heels of seeing some YouTubers and even Reddit posts blasting her, or even saying she was involved in the murder somehow. But I will give my take, and again, it's just my take, speculation, as all we have to go off of right now is speculation until the trial begins, and all the facts and evidence are laid out. And the biggest factor as to why she may not have been in the right state of mind, or even panicked, may involve drugs. Now, I'm not saying any of the room, but drugs and college kids go hand in hand. Pills, marijuana, and so forth. So yes, she did see something that freaked her out. Seeing a home invader wearing all black and a mask, she ran back into her room, called all the roommates. When no one answered, it's possible she calmed her nerves by taking a drug and then falling asleep. Or she may have already had drugs in her system, still afraid to call the cops from
All right, this is just
partying that night. They might give her a drug test and then raiding her room for any drugs, and then she's kicked out of college. So there's things we have to think about outside of her being involved in this type of murder. And it also might explain as to why she called her friends first as opposed to the police to hide any evidence of drugs or to pass her drugs off to any friends to get them out of the house. So when police do a raid, when they do a search, they won't see any drugs in her.
All right, this is stuff that we all thought about a long ass time ago. I'm not sure why there's a video out now about this, but I'm going to continue listening to hear the whole opinion here.
Her possession. Now, is this very selfish and ignorant if this is the case? Yes, it is, very much so. But again, when faced in a moment of crisis, our thought patterns aren't always going to guide us in the right direction, especially if we're involved in a situation that might personally screw us over.
I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of talk about it being, you know, a certain kind of area, house, why it took so long, you know. This is how I look at it. I would find it very difficult, right? If I was a friend that came over to clean up substances while there's 4 fucking murdered people there, I would just find that really difficult to run in there and worry about cleaning shit up when there's fucking 4 dead people laying there and it wasn't from a gun. I would just find that really hard to do.
For example, you still have people who have heart attacks, knowing they have all the risk factors and an impending heart attack coming on, would rather drive themselves to the hospital, risking everyone's life on the road, as opposed to calling 911. There have been even cases where people have gotten into cars with heart attacks and killing others. And look how
Wow.
people treated each other during the crisis known as COVID-19.
What?
Literally telling other people they should die
Yeah.
because they didn't want to get vaccinated.
That's
Or
true.
people telling others they should die because they want to wear a mask
Yeah.
and protect themselves. Humans are not perfect.
That was
And in a time
ridiculous.
of crisis, we all do not know what's best for us. Now, again, I do want to make it very clear I am not excusing the surviving roommates for not calling 911. We should always call the professionals in a time of crisis because we may very well save a life if we act quick enough. We may catch the suspect earlier if we act quick enough. But this does not mean the surviving roommates are involved in the Idaho murders or help Brian Kohberger or setting up the suspect, Brian Kohberger. The Idaho police and investigators so far have been doing an amazing job. They have combed through all bits of evidence, including phone and computer records. Had the surviving roommates been involved in any way, shape, or form, I am sure they would be sitting where Brian Kohberger is sitting right now. Until then, they are victims of the Idaho murders as well, living victims. Thank you all so much for watching. Again, this is my take on the Idaho murders and why the roommates did not call the police. It's all speculation. I'm not actually saying this is what happened. It's just another theory as to why the police were not called. But if you do like this channel and want to see more, please
Come on,
subscribe
YouTube.
and hit that notification button. Thank you once again.
It's gonna do this again. Are you serious? Man. I knew it too. I called it like 5 seconds ahead of time. Why is it going to microchips? What the fuck?
Ever since the arrest of the Idaho murder suspect and the release of the affidavit, the burning question remains, why didn't the surviving roommates, especially Dylan Mortison, the one who visually saw the suspect walk past her and heard the most noise, not call the cop?
Fucking YouTube. Okay, we were talking about the boat crash earlier. I did want to catch this video, but I'm not sure. It's 20 minutes, so I might save it for another time. I'm going to play this real quick. Something about big changes coming to popular social media apps, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I've been hearing a lot of different stuff going on lately. And with all these platforms that were like basically shut down, what, a week or two ago, that was the night when I was like 20 minutes late because I couldn't even get StreamYard to connect to YouTube because of all the social media issues. I think it was around when that balloon was happening. or first was happening, but I wanted to see what they were talking about. I don't know if anybody had heard anything about that. And then I'll see what else I got scrolling up through the top. There's just so much stuff to try and cover, even stuff from last week. I have probably stuff that it's almost 2 weeks old I haven't been able to get to, so I might knock out a couple videos here real quick, and then I'm definitely gonna try and do that part 4 Thursday night, if we can do that, Kevin, for the Ohio stuff. And then tomorrow night, depending on what's breaking, might just roll through some stuff to get caught up, because there's a lot of Brian Koberger stuff I haven't even gone over in the last week and a half. Just that the Ohio train derailment, that took up almost all week, but it was well worth it because there's so much stuff that needed to be covered and talked about on that case, so I don't mind. But there is a lot of Brian Koberger and Murdaugh stuff, so I do want to check this video real quick, and then I'm going to see what else we got here. What's changing?
Well, Twitter is making some security.
What Netflix doc is tomorrow night? Right. What's the new documentary on Netflix tomorrow night?
Security changes, and it could cost you more money. The social
Security,
media platform is disabling two-factor identification by text for non-subscribers to Twitter Blue. This is one of the primary methods for users to keep their accounts secure. Twitter says it will make this change March 20th. It says users do have 2 other ways to authenticate their logins at no cost. That Twitter Blue subscription costs $11 a month. And get this, Facebook and Instagram may follow Twitter's lead and now charge users for a verified account. Mark Zuckerberg announced Meta Verified on his social media accounts today. Testing will begin in Australia and New Zealand this week, and then it's going to roll out to other countries soon. It will cost $12 a month on the web or $15.
But what the fuck do you get for the money? Like, what do you get for Twitter Blue? Like, what do you get for the money that you're paying for? $15 for a blue check? I don't understand. I don't understand.
$15 a month on Apple and Android operating systems to get one of those verified accounts.
Seriously, YouTube, this is... And there's some press conferences too for there's 2 or 3 press conferences.
Well, Twitter is making some security changes, and it could cost you more money. The social media platform is disabling two-factor identification by text for...
This shit's getting old, YouTube. It's getting old. I don't even remember what the fuck I was talking about now. Oh yeah, I got 3 press conferences that we got for the Ohio train derailment stuff too. There's 3 different ones. EPA, I think NTSB, and there's another one. I can't remember what it was. Man, some of these videos... Cartels in the military, 16 seconds. That ain't very long. I might as well get rid of that. I'm sure they'll have another video coming up soon. Let me see here. New clues. New clues point to Idaho University killer and cold cases across the country. That's 8 days ago, though. The fact. New clues. The final hours. I think maybe somebody sent me this link. 30 subscribers. Am I subscribed? Yeah, I'm subscribed. I think somebody sent me this link. I don't remember playing any of their videos, honestly. So I must either I got the link from somebody or I just came across it. Here's this channel if you'd like to sub. I'm not sure. I don't remember watching any of their videos before, so we'll check this one out. What are the new clues? I'm interested to hear.
The mysteries and secrets of true crime cases. Today, we're taking a closer look at the Idaho Massacre, a brutal and senseless crime that has left the community of Muskow, Idaho, in shock and mourning. On November 13th, 4 University of Idaho students were brutally murdered in their own home.
4 college students in Moscow, Idaho on November 13th, stabbed to death in their beds. A crime that has horrified and mystified the nation.
The victims, roommates Madison Mogan, Kaylee Goncalves, and Xana Kernodle, and Kernodle's boyfriend, Ethan Chapin, were discovered dead on the 2nd and 3rd floors of the home. 2 other roommates were at the house at the same time of the murders and apparently slept through the attack, police said. A 6th person was on the lease, but they had moved out before the school year even began. Since the murders, the community has been in a state of shock and confusion, with rumors and speculation running rampant. Police have yet to publicly identify a suspect, and the details about what happened are still murky at best.
When did this video come out? 8 days ago. What? Yeah, this got facts wrong here. Yeah, this is not a cold case. Dude, this is a... No, if you I don't know. If you wanted to subscribe, go ahead. But, yeah, whoops. I'm just like, what? Huh? This don't make sense. Sorry about that. Let me see. The McGuire theory. Mind shock. Now, they always have interesting stuff here. Sometimes it's a little weird, but you know what? I do enjoy the mind shock stuff. Yeah, it's okay. It was the final hours. I don't know. I'm cool. There's so much stuff that I use on the show. I really need to have all of my sources and information. You know, there's a reason that I choose some of the channels that I choose. It comes to the information because I appreciate and I value their opinions. And I'll always give other channels, channels we never heard of, a shot and see. Rarely do I come across, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Now, mind shock. I do here and there. I do like them. Sometimes it's like, what? But more often than not, they have some interesting views. That's for sure. The McGuire theory, though, I never heard of that. I don't even know what that is. Whoa. Whoa. Whoa.
I mean, you know what's weird, too? I haven't floated this theory yet, so I'm going to drop it here.
This voice, too.
This is just another McGuire theory. Trigger warning for the Dunning-Kruger crowd who are somehow going to hallucinate that I'm claiming this is true. I am not claiming this is true in any way. This is simply just another theory to add to the pile that occurred to me. If Kohberger is this kind of outcast, this guy may be viewed as a loser by a lot of people.
Hey, ATS.
What if he was kind of led on by maybe some of the popular Greek kids? And again, there's supposedly around 10 suspicious deaths. I mean,
this dude is dude or lady, I'm not sure, but I'm assuming dude. The voice is so funny, and I don't know. This is just hilarious how they're starting the video. Thanks for hopping in, ATS. I appreciate it. Is it a girl? I'm not sure. I don't know for sure. It's hard to tell with how they do the voice or whatever. But yeah, this shit's funny.
I mean, you know what's weird too? I haven't floated this theory yet, so I'm going to drop it here. This is just another McGuire theory. Trigger warning for the Dunning-Kruger crowd who are somehow going to hallucinate that I'm claiming this is true. I am not claiming this is true in any way. This is simply just another theory to add to the pile that occurred to me.
Oh, no.
Koberger. Is this kind of
I think it is.
outcast? This guy may be viewed as a loser by a lot of people. What if he was kind of led on by maybe some of the popular Greek kids? And again, there's supposedly around 10 suspicious deaths. I mean, what did that parent that called in? I mean, we know of a few. I've gone over them in previous episodes. A couple of deaths in and around campus, hazing incidents. I mean, sororities on probation. Coincidentally, out of the 10 or whatever sororities, only the 2 that the victims belong to are on probation, not the other 8. None of those are on probation. Only the ones that the victims belong to. And then, of course, there's rumors that they were actually kicked out of those sororities and were not currently in a sorority for various reasons. Just a lot of rumors circulating. Again, this is my check. I'm not claiming anything is true or untrue. Just a whole lot of coincidences and possible coincidences if those rumors are true. But if Koberger was kind of led on by some of these popular Greek kids, athletes, whatever, and he was just a fellow drug user, or maybe he was a peddler. Maybe he's driving around and doing drug deliveries. Who knows? I mean, this guy's, I don't want to say he's clearly criminal-minded, but he's potentially criminal-minded. So if he could possibly be involved in something like murder, one could surmise that he might also be involved in some kind of drug dealing. I mean, a lot of drug dealers are not murderers either, particularly in college towns, et cetera, et cetera. They're just making extra cash on the side with drugs. Many of them are not homicidal or criminal-minded or violent-minded criminals. They're just making money off the drugs. So if he's this kind of individual, maybe he's a drug hookup, is it possible some of these Greek guys and maybe even girls kind of lead him on that and kind of befriend him? They kind of bring him into their popular circle. And this guy who's always been this weird outcast or whatever, he thinks they're genuine and they're not. And maybe they plan to kill these people for whatever reason. And they set him up because they already roped him in. They have his DNA. They have hung out with him. Is it possible they kind of tricked him to being in the location?
What?
In the general vicinity when they were going to commit this act, and so they kind of used him as a useful idiot, and he really is innocent? Or was there some kind of a joke or a gag that he thought that they were just going to scare the girls? Like they told him, run into the house and scare the girls or whatever, and some of them are drugged out of their minds, whatever. He thought it'd be funny. He never thought that, maybe they said, oh, just show them the knife and scare them because whatever they lied to him about, maybe it's a lie, maybe they're not, maybe there's drug money owned, whatever the case may be. Maybe someone rubbed someone the wrong way. There's rumors that Ethan got into a fight with some guy kicked out of the fraternity. I mean, a whole bunch of different connections. I'm not going to go down all those rabbit holes because it's not directly relevant. I'm just doing a general overview of this particular theory. So if they lured Koberger into the home, so one or two other individuals actually committed the murders and Koberger really was in the home, they kind of tricked him. They just said, run in and scare them and then run out, and they all leave. Does he not even know anybody's dead? Is why he drives by the next morning? Maybe is it not a serial killer reliving the crime, but someone who just realized that he was used as a patsy per se? He was implicated in a murder that he didn't commit, even though maybe he did commit some kind of unlawful entry, some kind of terrorizing with a deadly weapon, even though maybe he himself never actually thought that murder was part of this prank. So is this kind of loser loner type guy, did he kind of get carried away by just hanging out with the cool kids, so to speak? in this prank, or this alleged prank that was really murder, but he didn't know about it at the time? And is this connected with the coyote killings, these other pranks, these hazing incidents? I mean, there just seems to be a lot of weird stuff going on. Then we also, of course, have the SWAT standoff and his possibly, if he knows Kopaka, this guy who lives next to the WSU campus just happened to be killed by SWAT in a SWAT standoff that supposedly is involved in working IT security at the University of Idaho campus, which, again, allegedly their camera system was down just that night. Is that true? Again, I haven't seen 100% verification on that. Is it true? Is it not true? We don't know. So what does everybody think of this theory? I mean, whatever the case may be, it seems like something is not simple here. I mean, even in the police body cam footage, you see there's people running in the background. Again, not that strange, but if there's some kind of a connection to the house, it's just the whole thing. It's so difficult because this is a popular party house. I mean, it really, I don't know. I'm not saying this theory is true in any way, but perhaps it's something that has elements of this theory.
Yeah.
Where Kohberger was led along by other people for whatever purpose. Of course, you know, people have dug up, I'm not going to go through them, the social media of even the roommates that include some kind of knife pranks, horror movie type pranks, just really, really unsettling things, which again, a lot of college students are involved in that. They don't end up killed. Nobody finds it suspicious. In this case, there were 4 murders. So of course people are going to find it suspicious.
I put the link in the chat to the video. Or I put the link to the video in chat, and it's called Mind Shock. It's we just started playing their videos a few shows ago.
And that doesn't mean it's not related either. It may or may not be related. Obviously, I'm not going to say it's definitely 100% related because a lot of college kids are involved in pranks and death and horror movies and all that. It's, you know, and I believe always have been for quite some time. So, yeah, I don't know if that, you know, you can deduce anything with 100% certainty in that direction, but it's definitely in the maybe pile. It's in the question mark pile. That's pretty much where everything is at this point, because the sheath doesn't really make any sense either. Kohberger going back to the house doesn't make any sense. Does it make more sense if he was drugged out of his mind and kind of used as a patsy by these other individuals who got him to enter the home, him believing it was just some kind of a prank and no one would actually get hurt? Then he hears the rumblings through the grapevine, or perhaps he heard some kind of struggle going on and then they're all running away. I mean, how, again, I don't want to, I mean, even the line, I'm going to help you. Is it possible one of the people who he thought was just a harmless prankster, if they committed one or several of the murders, was Kohberger really there trying to help after the murders transpired? And then he just ran away?
That's weird.
Because he knew it was going to look bad?
That's weird.
Again, just theorizing. Or, of course, maybe he's guilty. Maybe he's 100% guilty, and maybe he did 100% act alone. I am not discounting any theories because the truth is not yet known. If you weren't there that night, you don't know what happened. But this is Mind Shock, where we upturn every stone and we go down every rabbit hole and examine every theory without falling for logical fallacies like all these other podcasts and, of course, mainstream coverage. So hope everybody found another edition of Mind Shock True Crime interesting and informative. If you want to help support the podcast, help keep up awareness in many different true crime cases, you can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. You can also become a YouTube member right here on YouTube. Help support the channel. Get access to exclusive streams.
I wish I could have memberships. I don't understand why I can't. I have to wait. I hate that. Who's this Justin guy everybody's talking about? Who's the Justin guy? Good night, everybody. Or good night, Kid Kitty. Yeah, I know that. It's sick to think. Who's this Justin guy everybody keeps talking about? What, they think he was part of the, like, this other person or something? And this is Mind Shock Dre. I'll go ahead and put to the channel in the chat. The video is right up above, but here you go. You can have this again. And this is what the channel looks like, Dre, if you wanted to sub to him. Yeah, who's this Justin guy that everybody's talking about? And speaking of Pothole Pete, there is a video that just came out talking about Pothole Pete. So we're going to switch to that real quick. Yeah, who's this Justin guy? I think I saw it on the Drunk Turkey show, but who is he though? I don't know.
First, both Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
I don't know who the Justin. Like, is he like, or yeah, like what's he to the case?
Preoccupied in Europe, celebrating an endless war. Just who's running the show back here at home? It is definitely not Pothole Pete Buttigieg, now America's incompetent transportation secretary. He has been utterly MIA, and in just 2 years, he aimlessly has presided over multiple airline fiascos, chaos at America's shipping ports, a supply chain nightmare that is still ongoing, and now a disaster in East Palestine, Ohio, a train wreck followed by a controlled chemical burn that released all these dangerous chemicals into the air, the soil, the water. We have dead fish, dead animals, sick people. But Pothole Pete, he's nowhere to be found. Same with Joe. And for days, he has said nothing, did nothing about a toxic fire so huge that it could be seen on Pittsburgh's weather radar. Now, ultimately, Pothole Pete, he was shamed into making a statement. Last week, he declared that East Palestine was getting more than enough attention.
Right, SRB?
While this horrible situation has gotten a particularly high amount of it.
Oh, this was Thursday? Yeah, that interview we watched at the beginning of the show, such BS. And then talking about people being there for show, and it's like, at least people were there, not you.
Attention. There are roughly 1,000 cases a year of a train derailing. Obviously, they have levels of severity, but where all of that points us to is a need to continue to raise the bar on rail safety.
Oh, really? That's the answer, Pete? Train wrecks followed by massive chemical burns that kill off local fish and wildlife? That's just an average day? Creeks, streams filled with toxic substances that can be seen by the naked eye. If Pothole Pete laid out of touch to all of you, that is because it's true. Now, recently, he demanded Americans trust him simply because he was once the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, where he, quote, dealt with a lot of disasters. That's what he said. Take a look.
The administration has come under some fire for its response. The mayor of East Palestine has said it took nearly 2 weeks for the White House to contact him. There were shots of where's Judge at a town hall meeting last week. What's your response to that? When are you going to go to East Palestine?
Well, I am planning to go, and our folks were on the ground from the first hours. I do want to stress that the NTSB needs to be able to do its work independently. But when I go, the focus is going to be on action. Look, I was mayor of my hometown for 8 with a lot of disasters, natural and human.
A lot of disasters. Okay, so we did a little digging and found some of those so-called disasters that Pothole Pete was forced to manage as mayor. According to the South Bend Tribune, one of his greatest challenges was turning several one-way streets into two-way streets. That's a big challenge. Another major challenge for Pothole Pete, the mayor, well, he had to figure out what to do with all of his city's empty lots. And last but not least, his nickname, Pothole Pete, well, he has it for a reason, because under his leadership, South Bend, Indiana was home to the worst roads in the entire state, or as Politico put it, quote, the former mayor of a town with an 18-route bus system and giant pothole problem will now have to shepherd Biden's national infrastructure plan. In other words, Mayor Pete he was from day one. Now, of course, Buttigieg still hasn't bothered to visit East Palestine. He says he'll go when the, quote, Time is right. Now, of course, the only reason Pete is even considering a visit is because former President Donald Trump, he's going to be there tomorrow.
Right.
And meanwhile, Joe Biden will probably never visit. You know, he doesn't seem to care what's happening in Ohio. And if it's not in Delaware, why bother?
And Erin Brockovich is going to be there too. She was actually going to be there, I think, today. But when she heard former President Trump was coming there, she changed hers to, I think, Friday. And I kind of wish that Erin Brockovich would have been able to go there first, because I have a feeling that she's going to get more done than anybody when it comes to this stuff. I mean, you already hear her name. You're already like, okay, yeah, you've done this before, you know. Yeah. I kind of wish she would have been able to go there and be there at these meetings, because she brings... I'm excited. I can't wait till she's there. I know there's going to be video. I think it's Friday, though.
After all, the people of Ukraine, they seem to be his number one priority. Now listen to the mayor of East Palestine when he heard Joe Biden was in Ukraine with President Zelensky. Take a look.
That was the biggest slap in the face. That tells you right now he doesn't care about us. So agreed. He can send every agency he wants to, but I found that out this morning in one of the briefings that he was in the Ukraine giving millions of dollars away to people over there, not to us. And I'm furious.
On President's Day in our country.
Yeah, President's Day in our country.
yeah.
He's over in Ukraine. So
Wow. Wow. It's so sad. That's interesting, though. They did some homework on his... Thank you, Mel Mac. They did some homework on his, disasters. Really wasn't... It's like all you guys were saying. See, I don't know nothing about him. I didn't even know he was a mayor in South Bend. Had no idea. Give me 1 second here. I'm just going to kind of go over everything again. I'm just kind of looking at what just kind of breaking here. Wow, 3 months. Let me go to this video real quick. Madalena Kojikari. 3 months now. Gosh, that went quick. Thank you, Dre. I appreciate that.
It has been 3 months since Madalena
Oh,
Kojikari was last
I
seen
can't
by
believe
anyone
it's been
other
that
than her
long.
parents. Cornelius police investigators say they're still working this case. Queen City News and Northeast Bureau Chief Sydney Heiberger is live in Cornelius tonight. Tells us what we know and what is still to come. Sydney.
Yeah, Brian, missing person signs are still posted outside the Cornelius Police Department and several local businesses. Now, months have gone by since this story first broke into the news cycle, but still, this town has not forgotten. The search for 11-year-old Madalena Kojikari has taken investigators from land to the water. 3 months ago, Madalena was seen getting off her school bus from Bailey Middle School. It's the last time anyone other than her have seen her.
It's terrible.
I know.
It
doesn't seem like
something
3
that
months.
Should not happen, and it's disgusting.
Police were last seen searching the Kojikari home on February 15th. The details of that search still have not been released. But when police searched the home in December, we learned they were looking at blood, hair, and evidence of a kidnapping. They also took 3 cell phones.
This is a serious case of a child whose parents clearly are not telling us everything they know.
As the search continues with not much new information, Madalena's community still has not forgotten about her.
And I do believe the police and everybody involved is working as hard as they can, but sometimes it's not as simple.
Her mom and stepfather, both in jail for failing to report her missing, are set to reappear in court on March 2nd. Yeah, you might remember Madalena's mother and stepfather did not report her missing to Madalena's school until 3 weeks after they say they last saw her. And during that time, we know Madalena's stepfather took a trip to visit his family in Michigan, and her mother took a trip to the Asheville. I'm reporting live in Cornelia. Sydney Heiberger, Queen City News.
I hit pause, YouTube. Come on. Dang. Sorry, it's whacking out. You know, I'm surprised too, Melmac. You know, because I thought right after both of them were arrested, I'm like, okay, within a week, somebody's going to turn on the other one. Within like a week maximum, I was thinking a day or two to a week. I'm like, yeah, somebody's going to turn on the other. But yeah, it's crazy. And honestly, I would have thought the mom. I would have thought the mom would have cracked or, you know, started talking. I figured the mom would have been the one, but nope, not at all. Let me see here. So this is the Drunk Turkey Show. We did bring that up. And I do enjoy their videos. You know, it's crazy. They had less subs than I did before that Kim phone call. And look at that now. That props to them. 33.4 thousand fucking subs. Wow. Fucking props. It's just crazy. We started watching them when they were just a small channel. And then they just fucking blew up with that phone call. What a phone call, too. What a phone call. Yeah, it's weird. It's crazy. I don't know. She's covering for him for some reason, and I don't know why. That's just what it seems like. I would think she was covering for him because she was afraid of him, but now that she's in jail, you know, how is he going to hurt her? I don't know. Don't make sense to me. All right. We're going to watch this video here, and then I'm going to go ahead and end the evening, and I'll be back tomorrow night. I think Thursday night is when we're going to do part 4 special of the Ohio train derailment. So I'll get into more stuff tomorrow night. Probably more of the Idaho 4. I do want to check out this crime circus video tomorrow night. So I'll probably include some of that. I'll probably do a lot of the focus on, because we have brought up Brentley Kopaka before. I do still have some old articles I saved from when we were kind of digging into his situation there. So we might actually talk some more of that stuff, but I do want to check out what Crime Circus says. It's been, it'll be over a day that it'll be out when we get into it tomorrow night. So totally respecting that. And then, so yeah, I'm going to check out this video. What Bethany Funk did morning of November 13th revealed as source comes forward. So I want to hear what they have to say, and then I'm going to go ahead and end the evening. And I just wanted to say thank you for everybody being here. I appreciate you. And I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow night. So Thursday. And by the way, Dre, yeah, right. Dre, when it comes to ordering stuff, I will I'll have a community post up with all the different fonts and logos. That way you guys can choose what font, what color. I'll kind of have like, I'll leave all the avenues that you can place a custom order. whatever message. I'll also put each font ups, and then I will just show an example of how you can send me a custom order to whatever message or platform you want to use, and we'll just do logo, color, da 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 da, and then so when there's a community post up on YouTube here on my channel, that's when you know that everything will be up. So if you think you might have missed something or something, and if you go check the community post and you don't see nothing, it's not quite done yet. But once you see the community post up there, you'll be able to do any of the custom orders and have any colors, font, the fonts that we provide. And you also, with a personalized name too. Definitely let me know if you want a personalized name on the item as well, and I can go ahead and add a personalized. You'll just have to make sure you put it in quotations or whatever, specifically how you want it, cap, lowercase, spaces, exactly how you want it in between quotations or parentheses. And then we can do that for you too. So just, I am anticipating it'll be at least 2 days, might even go into the weekend. I know we were having some, it's a work in progress. We're trying to get it all right. We don't want to half-ass shit there. Me and Cherry don't want to half-ass it. So we're just making sure it's all squared up, and then we'll go ahead and get it up there. But I just want to say thanks. So yeah, it'll be soon. It'll be soon, promise.
On. And so we finally got a little bit of information from her and her side of the story of her account that that morning when the bodies were found. But before we go into that, I want to talk to you guys a little bit, something that is important to me. It's our channel partner, Data Seal. Basically, long story short.
All right, let me skip the promotion here.
So there's not a lot on Bethany when it comes to the probable cause affidavit. And I know a lot of folks seem to point to that, to think that perhaps because there was a lot said about Dylan Mortensen in that probable cause affidavit, that there would be a lot that Bethany said as well, and it's just being held on to. I don't believe that's the case. I do not. In fact,
you know what? This whole time I thought that was a real background. That's a green screen picture. I thought that was really the background this whole time. I thought that was like, damn, individual post-its and all sort of. It's a green screen. Oh my gosh.
I believe
I just noticed that.
probable cause affidavit, as lengthy as
You
it
can
is,
tell by the headphones
is
up
probably
here
majority
how it's all
of the information
glitchy.
or the evidence that
Huh.
the police knew about at the time.
That's crazy.
They've not hidden how they were able to find Brian Koberger. They used Dylan Mortensen's big description and knowing that they had a white Elantra without a front license plate, and they played the
I thought that was fucking
elimination
real this
game.
whole time.
They looked at everybody who was in the area who was registered a white Elantra with the two universities, and based on those, they looked at the registered owners of those vehicles to find somebody of matching height and weight.
It really is a cool background. You got all the crime shit, but this whole time I was like, damn, like I just got this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't imagine having a whole wall with a whole bunch of different shit. I mean, it's cool as hell. And then but I was like, I'm looking at these headphones and it's like, oh, that's the green screen effect. It's a cool background though. I definitely dig it. Always have.
And they just the possibility of the there. Now, I'm sure Brian Koberger wasn't the only one that they were investigating that matched his, the
Showed
description
his videos
of the suspect. Now, they probably were watching him, and then, they got the warrant for his cell phone records, and they realized that he's been.
Oh, trust me, Melmac. I'm old enough not to be fooled into that. I'm not one of those people that believes everything on Google's true. If you know what I'm saying. That ended a long time ago.
In that area for a while. And then they watch him. They have the knife sheath and the DNA
I was
on it
about
already.
yay
They just
high.
need to figure out they're going to find somebody to test, the DNA too.
Street
They get the
knowledge
trash,
makes you learn real
from
quick,
Koberger's
Melmac.
parents' house. And we're able to
At this age.
confirm that Brian Koberger was a match to the DNA by his father's DNA left on the trash. And so,
so what's
it's
the
been lined
Bethany
out
stuff?
pretty simple. I like to think that, and early on I thought that they had a lot more information, that his name came up and this, that, and the third. But the more that comes out of this, the more I look at this, I think it's almost all there, y'all. Now, what's not also in there is stuff that probable cause affidavit was written. And that the search of the Elantra, the results of what was found in
I'm
his
44.
apartment, and at his parents' house. They did a search there. And so we don't know what was the conclusion of things. Also, you don't forget the computer tower. That was another one. And so,
Where's
there
the
could be a
Bethany?
lot more damning information on there that we just aren't aware of. I think that when you look at this from in a whole, it seems like they got the right guy. I think they did. Now proving, beyond reasonable doubt is where we're at this point. He's been arrested. He's been charged. He's not made a plea yet. That'll happen. And, but all accounts, he seems eager to want to fight this. And so it appears, though, that we're going to get a trial and we're going to see what both sides have to say. But when it comes to this, part,
Where's the Bethany stuff? Thank you.
It sounds like
Jesus.
she just fell asleep
Fucking 6 minutes.
and didn't wake up until the morning. Like I was telling you, like I said last night on the live,
Good night,
my
Dre.
theory is that Dylan walked.
Man, 6 minutes into the fucking video and we get to it. Good night, Dre. I appreciate it. And fingers crossed and prayers to you and family with all that weather coming your way. Holy shit, when we were watching Ryan Hall, y'all, earlier in the beginning of the show, in the very beginning, actually. Oh my gosh, prayers. I hope the freezing rain, the amount of snow coming your way, how many rounds of snow are coming your way, the freezing rain, the snow, freezing rain, snow. Please be safe.
Walked out, yelled, all right, at the noise that she heard coming from Ethan and Xana's room. That scared Koberger. Koberger knew how small the community is and the distance between the resident house here on 1122 King Road and the police station, and he probably had a couple minutes to get out of there. The reason why I think he spared Dylan is because she yelled and he assumed she called police. And so he assumed he needed to get out of there extremely quickly. And so that's my theory as to why he didn't, attack Dylan in that moment.
Hold on.
1122 King Road and the police station, and he probably had a couple minutes to get out of there. The reason why I think he spared Dylan is because she yelled and he assumed she called police. And so he assumed he needed to get out of there extremely quickly. And so that's my theory as to why he didn't, attack Dylan in that moment. But Dylan goes, locks the door, probably afraid because the guy's wearing a mask.
I don't know. I could see her freezing. I don't know. If somebody's coming up like that, I see somebody freezing and not being able to even make a sound because they're in that much shock and they're that froze. I don't know. I still feel like he didn't notice her and he didn't think anybody was in that room because it was locked when he got there. She had already locked the door when she first went to go to bed or, to the bedroom. She had locked the door. And she unlocked the door every time she looked out. So to me, it would seem like he went and checked the door either going before going upstairs or coming downstairs or whatever, check the door. It was locked, and who wouldn't think that since the door is locked, they're probably out somewhere and not at home. So I don't know. I still feel like he didn't notice her, but we'll see what happens when the trial comes.
Asking all dark clothing, by
I have a
verified
feeling. I have a
sources
feeling.
from.
I have a feeling if he would have heard a scream or noticed something. Okay, so what if she called the cops right then? You could kick the fucking door open and finish her off in a matter of seconds and still get out of there before they would get there. You would think. So I don't know. I don't see some. I don't know. I'm just.
Wearing a mask.
We'll
and
find
dark
out.
Clothing. By verified sources from. Or supposedly verified sources.
I'm sure he was busting ass to get out of there. I think after he finished the second bedroom, that's when it was like tunnel vision. That's why I'm not going to notice the door cracked open when I'm walking by it as I'm leaving, but I'm just looking for that fucking sliding glass door as I'm trying to get out of the house.
I think it was off of Reddit. I'm not sure. But I had saw that I think it was a sister-in-law.
I mean, it's a good theory though. That maybe, but
that she had called everybody in the house, and before calling,
I feel
the
he would
neighbor,
have kicked the door down.
I think that happened a couple times. I think that happened that night after the incident. My assumption is that maybe Bethany answered the phone and said, yeah, whatever, right? I heard something, or maybe I didn't hear anything. I was asleep. But I think that gave Dylan a little bit of false security to just go lay down. And then the next morning, still kind of freaked out about what happened, tried to call everybody, called Bethany again, told Bethany this time what she saw. Bethany was afraid to go upstairs. Maybe she left. And that's why the door was open. I don't know. But I think at that point, they realized that something nefarious had occurred. And it's still weird that they didn't call the police. Instead, they called the neighbor. Hunter comes over. He ends up going upstairs, discovering the bodies. Now, according to Ashley Banfield, Hunter's the one that ended up, or the best friend of Ethan. We suspect it being Hunter Johnson. He's the one who ends up calling 911 off of Dylan's phone. And we talked about it last night. One thing I can think of is that, Dylan was probably a bit frantic. Nobody's still on the phone. And she contacts neighbor, says somebody was in the house and I can't get anybody to open the door. This is Ethan's best friend, so he jumps up, runs outside, probably forgets his phone. And that's the reason why he's having to use Dylan's phone to call the police. And so I think this picture is getting
I can
a little bit more clear.
It's possible.
Still, I'm a little bit concerned about the amount of evidence. That's got the guy. I think they got the right guy. I'm more concerned about do they have enough to put him away. I think there's some questions, and I think there's holes in this case.
You're talking about the probable cause affidavit. It's very minimal shit. And that's what everybody needs to understand, is that it's very minimal stuff that they need to justify an arrest. So it's minimal stuff, okay? Of course, any of the cell phone data can have holes poked in it. Any of the GPS, hell, you go between the images of the car when it was noticed on different surveillance, and then you go by the GPS and they don't line up. the times and the directions don't line up. So there's always going to be, you can poke holes in the cell phone and the GPS stuff. I mean, hell, we watched a video a few months ago with Scott Reich, and he had a client of his that he was defending, and his client was being charged with murder of a crime that took place, and they had his cell phone ping data right next to the crime, and Scott Reich was able to basically, hey, can you prove that my client wasn't within a 30 block area? Can you say for sure that he was not 30 blocks away from where the crime took place and where you're saying he was at? And they said no. So there is the holes that can be poked, but we have to understand that this is the probable cause affidavit. It's very small stuff. It's just enough to get somebody arrested. So there can be a lot of holes poked in that information. We're not really going to know exactly every source of information or every bit of evidence until the actual trial. Once the trial takes place, then we can start to see if holes exist and all this other stuff. But I think maybe a lot of people, and I'm not saying this person is, I'm just saying the talk around is, I think a lot of people are just feeling like this PCA is like all the evidence, and it's like, no, people, it's not. It's just a very small amount. Just a very small amount. So yeah, you can get holes poked. I felt from the beginning that you could poke holes in every single part of the fucking case. When we were watching, when the PCA came out, we read it, and we're watching all these people on News Nation and Fox News and CBS News, and they're all like, it's slam dunk and da 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 da. And I'm like, yo, no. Yeah, when the trial comes, I just hope it doesn't get pushed back and pushed back. This thing, we need to get this thing going. This is crazy. And especially with Brian Kober, I know there's a video within the last week somewhere that I have in my folder somewhere that we didn't get to, but it has him talking about how he came out again and states that he's ready to be exonerated, and he was confident that he's going to be exonerated and all this other stuff. I mean, it really does make you wonder what the hell's going on. And I just want the trial even quicker, because you have somebody talking like, exonerated, which it doesn't make sense, because to be exonerated, you have to be charged, convicted, and then so I don't know. Maybe he doesn't understand what exonerated means. I don't know. Or maybe that's his plan. But that'd be a weird plan, though, wouldn't it? Get me convicted so then I can try and get overturned. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. But yes, PCA, very small amount.
Very circumstantial. The only thing that slightly puts him in that home is the DNA on the sheath, which really doesn't really put him in the home. It just puts that sheath in his possession at one point.
It's like my coworker said when the sheath fingerprint or touch DNA just came out. He was like, who says that somebody didn't plant it there? And I'm like, really, man? Come on. And then I started thinking, like, I mean, as a juror, that's fucking true. It could be true. Just because.
And so it'd be a lot different if his DNA was on a wall or on the rail, walking down the stairs or on the property somewhere. But if his DNA only falls in that sheath, that leads me to believe that, it's going to be difficult. He can come up with some story to make up why he had that in his possession. It got stolen, something of that nature. He found a knife, he turned it in. I don't know.
Gave it away.
But it's
You know,
it's a very
I could
circumstantial.
have donated it to somebody. I could have. Hell, he could say it was stolen. I mean, you never know. Now, if you got his footprint, his hair strand, you find something connected to the crime and his property, yeah. But there. Let's see what happens when the trial comes. What evidence really is there?
Case, and I also had a poll last night, and on that poll, it was, do you think that Brian Kohlberger did this alone, or had an accomplice? And more than half believe he did, out of over 1,000 people that entered that contest. That's crazy. That's scary. And I think it was like, not more than half. I'm sorry. The majority was that he had an accomplice. I think it was like 44% or 47% had accomplice, 40 something else percent he didn't, and then it was like 10% that he's innocent. And so, when you add that into him accomplice or not being involved, that's majority of the folks that were in our live chat last night, based on the evidence that's out there. That's not good. That's not good. But again, we don't have it all. There's the possibility that they have some smoking gun material that they're holding on to close to the chest, or close to the vest. I'm sorry. But that's all I got for you guys. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Hitting that like button helps get the algorithm going. This is probably going to get limited or demonetized just based on the words that I use to describe this incident. And, it's okay. The problem with it is that it limits the viewers, right? And
Is that true? Because I noticed they say that every show at the beginning or the end, but what are... I didn't notice any words that would demonetize it, right? Or is... What words demonetize, just for future reference? What words do they use in their videos that they can get demonetized? Because I want to make sure that I don't use those words in the future. But I'm just curious. Or is there like a list somewhere or something? Yeah, that's very interesting. I mean, some good points. Some interesting views, some different things to look at. I'm still pretty confident in how I felt the last couple months on how I think everything took place inside there. Let me see. That's the main reason I don't think it was planted. I don't think it was either. Very true, SRB. Very true. All right, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and end the evening. Thank you so much for hanging out. I'll see you tomorrow night. And definitely let you guys know about the logos here soon. It won't be much longer. We'll get it all squared up, put up, posted up, and be good to go. But I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. I appreciate you chatting, your viewpoints, your conversation. And I hope you have a peaceful and positive evening. Stay warm, stay safe tomorrow. Anybody that's affected in any of those storms. And if you need to rewatch it again, please go back to the beginning of the show. That's a lot of weather and a lot of crazy weather that's happening. I don't know. This whole winter has been crazy when it comes to this weather. The ups and downs, the storms, the disasters. I mean, everything. So please stay safe. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Thank you so much. Peace.